The battle is back. It's me, Daniel Levy, your host, and Sean Carey Tattoo, your co-host. We're going to be talking UFC Belfast, Mousasi vs. Hall, the rematch, and UFC Sao Paulo, Thomas Almeida versus Albert Morales. Apparently, they said Ryan Bader versus Nogueira was in the main event, but I mean, we already saw that fight at UFC 119, so we're going to just act like Thomas Almeida versus Albert Morales is the main event. And then we're also going to throw in a little surprise Michael Chandler versus Benson Henderson talk. And Sean Carey, how's it going, man?
Pretty good, man. We got 31 bettable fights this weekend, and unless you have no self-respect and you're counting Invicta, then there's even more, but we don't do that. So 31 bettable fights, not bad.
Well, you got the first part right. No self-respect, but that's not going to stop us from breaking down this card. And first up in the lightweight division, we got Magomed Mustafayev. He's minus 120. The comeback on Kevin, the Motown Phenom Lee, is plus 100. I love the matchmaking here, Sean. I mean, with Magomed Mustafayev, he's one of these Russians, but he doesn't have a Sambo background. He's more of a power puncher. He's probably a master of sport in boxing. I mean, you stand and bang with this guy long enough. And
do you actually know what that means? What does that mean?
It means that he can throw some hands. I'll tell you that much. And
no, I mean, like, do you go in front of like a board and you box in front of them and they go, "Oh, you passed," and they give you a degree? Like, what does that really mean? I've never taken the time to look it up. What is a master of sports?
I have no fucking idea, but I just know it sounds damn good. And the Russians that have it, those are the Russians I like to bet on, Sean.
I'm going to go look that shit up. I might do it right now.
Let us know what it means, man. But I mean, he's a master of sport in boxing. I mean, he can knock dudes out. He can also kick dudes in the body really damn hard, as you saw in his last fight. And when he has been taken down in the past, I mean, he attacks for arm bars. He works his way back up to his feet. So he's pretty damn well rounded. I mean, Kevin Lee, dude, I mean, he's got a freakish reach for the weight class. I mean, he's got a 78-inch reach. That's like what a light heavyweight has. And, Kevin's solid all around. He's got decent boxing when he decides to use it. He can take fights to the ground as well. Biggest issue with Kevin, in my opinion, is, he's a cool guy, but he's a bit of a head case, man. Like after that Leo Santos fight, to me what happened was he threw a rear uppercut without setting it up, and he got caught with a straight right. But to him, it was an early stoppage and this and that. I'm like, why don't you just take it on the chin, admit that he caught you, and move on. I don't like the excuses and stuff like that, Sean. Going into this fight, he's saying stuff like, Magomed doesn't have anything for me. So I don't know if he's overlooking him or if he's just trying to sell the fight. But, man, I'm feeling the Russian here, man. I got to go with Magomed Mustafayev, even though I got a lot of respect for Kevin Lee, and he is the veteran here. This is his 10th UFC fight. Maybe he can have one of those veteran performances, but I think something about the tenacity of the Russian is going to prevail here.
A master of sport, it was established in 1935, so it's really old, like USSR shit, and it's like you get kind of a degree over 4 years in a sport. So like my joke about going in front of a board and you pass the test, that seems kind of true, which is really strange. You think they dump it? It started in the 30s? What are you doing? Anyway, now you know, right?
Thank you.
Now if somebody asks you, you can tell them. Kevin Lee kind of, there's something, he thinks too much of himself. Is that maybe what it is? Like, I don't understand what he hasn't really achieved much, honestly, but I can't really say, hey, you have no, you don't have that talent. Like, the guy looks like his upside is pretty up. Like, he does have a lot of skills. He's got some defense problems and the striking is kind of rudimentary, but the wrestling's not bad. The cardio, a little spotty here and there, but he's young. He could make something of himself, but like you said, I think he is a bit of a head case. He thinks too much of himself. He wants to skip ahead and fight this guy and fight that guy, but, you got stopped by Santos, and I guess your best win is Jake Matthews. I don't, not quite there yet, but talented guy fighting mediocre Medoff we'll go with for this particular Medoff. I think
he's like 15-1, but he's mediocre Medoff, right?
Yeah, he's the mediocre Medoff. He's never really shown me anything that makes me, think he's a master of sport and being a Medoff. He's kind of mediocre. this is a tough fight because you don't really know which Kevin Lee will show up. I think that Kevin Lee could put on his usual grinding performance and get out of the way of danger and rack up some points and maybe win 2 out of the 3 rounds. But, as we've seen him, he gets hit and he gets hurt, and it's not just that he's shook, it's that it kind of sucks the fight out of him too. And that could definitely happen here. This is a pass for me, but if I had to pick somebody, it would be Lee. But I wouldn't advise betting on Lee even at that line because, he needs to put 2 or 3 more under his belt and look like he's got his shit together.
In the flyweight division, we got Kyoji Horiguchi. He's -220. The comeback on Ali Bagautinov is +180. This is a tough one for me to call, Sean. I mean, they're both total badasses. With Kyoji, he kind of has a little bit of that karate style going on. He darts back and forth, side to side. When it's time for him to blitz, he will blitz you hard. And I mean, he can wrestle too. And with Ali Bagautinov, another master of sport. I mean, this one, I think it's master of sport in Sambo. And obviously, he can take you down on the ground. But in his last fight, man, I mean, they call him the puncher king for a reason. But, I mean, they could call him the kicker king, too. Because the way he was kicking Gian Herrera in the body, I mean, you cringe when you see that body shot. And, man, both these guys are coming off dominating victories. They both whooped Neil Seery and Gian Herrera, respectively. So now it's about how are the styles going to clash. And, man, I can see this one being a 3-round war. I honestly don't know who I favor here, Sean, because, I mean, it's about the implementation of their styles. So, to me, may the best man win. I'll go with Bagautinov because he's the underdog here, but no bet because I have so much respect for Horiguchi. I really don't know who's the fresher guy because they both look spectacular in their last appearances, man. So, what do you think?
I definitely like Horiguchi here. I think, Bagautinov fundamentals are strong. He's got a power punch game. He tries to hit you. Sometimes he throws in combination, but later in the fight it turns into one at a time. His wrestling and his grind game is definitely strong. But you know what you're getting out of him. When you're fighting him, you know what he's going to do. And when he swings big, he misses big. You know what I mean? Like, if he hits you, you might be in trouble. But when he misses, plenty of time to hit him back. What we're really dealing with here is Horiguchi. The wrestling isn't as good, but it's not terrible. If you can stop yourself from getting smothered by Mighty Mouse, then you can stop yourself from getting smothered by Bagautinov, I think.
Well, did he stop himself from getting smothered by Mighty Mouse?
I mean, yes, not in the end, but going into that fight, I had the assumption that eventually Horiguchi would, be down and not get back up. And that happened for periods of time, but a lot of times he was okay. He fought out of the clinch. You know what I mean? Like, he accounted for himself well in that fight. He's only gotten better since then. He's another young guy. He's still on the way up for sure. The thing that I like here is for sure the speed, because there's a big ass speed difference. I like that explosiveness, and I like the trickiness. I like the unorthodox things he does. I like not knowing what's going to come out of him next. It could be a jump knee from looking like it's too far away to hit you, but it's definitely close enough to hit you. His in and out game is what's going to win this fight. I think he stays out of trouble, keeps his back off the cage for most of it. When he does get taken down, I think he pops right back up, and he's able to outpoint Bagautinov, counter him hard when Bagautinov misses. And Bagautinov been around for a while, pissed hot. Like, the end is not, he's a flyweight. The end is not too far away. We've definitely got, the future versus the past here, even though one is not the future yet and one is not the past yet. That's the way that these two guys are going. I like Horiguchi on speed, points, footwork, Horiguchi.
I feel you, man, but, I don't think that this is the end of the road for Bagautinov at all, because, he looked phenomenal his last fight. In the Joseph Benavidez fight, even though it was a very close fight, and Benavidez, is the number 2 guy on planet Earth, but, both of them looked kind of old in that fight, and I was like, maybe this is it for him. But then he comes out there against Gian Herrera and absolutely whooped his ass. He mopped the floor with him. Obviously, Kyoji.
And what would Horiguchi do to Herrera?
Oh yeah, I agree. He would whoop his ass too. Yeah. But now it's Kyoji versus Ali, and Man, I mean, I've never really seen anyone besides DJ beat Ali to the punch, and conversely with Kyoji. So it's going to be interesting. To me, it's kind of like I don't know how one could have a strong opinion of this fight, but then again, if it plays out the way you're saying, I'll understand where you're coming from. But for me, they're both just such badasses. It's kind of hard for me to pick a winner here.
Yeah. Too many weapons. Too many different things. You know what I mean? His defense is good too. He's going to stay out of trouble. He's going to win on points.
Fair enough, and best of luck to you. You betting on this one?
I am, but I was going to wait until the other half of the parlay popped up, and then I'll read it off.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Next up, in the middleweight division, we got Magnus Siedenblad. He's minus 255. The comeback on Jack Marshman is plus 215. Now, Magnus got a little nice game going on, man. I mean, he's got that tall man game. Obviously, the tall man game comes with its flaws as well. When you hit a tall man hard, it looks really damn bad. You know what I mean, Sean? But
yeah.
But this man's game, I mean, he can grind you, but he can also pick you apart on the feet. His last fight was a knockout. I know it was against what's the name of that job? Against Gareth McClellan. But so what? He also beat Askham, and he finished Krzysztof Jotko. Now, that's not the Jotko we see today, but he still had to hand him his first loss. Those are some good opponents, man. With Jack Marshman, he is the former Cage Warriors champion, but the way the styles match up, it's interesting because Jack is one of these short, stocky dudes that loves to throw big bombs. But hey, man, he's found a way to get it done. He kind of reminds me of an orthodox Kelvin Gastelum, kind of short and pudgy for the weight class, but finds a way to do it, man. It's a matter of if, can Magnus keep that distance, keep that range, and if he does get up close, can he grind Jack Marshman? Based on the film, I think he can, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jack caught him either. Jack's last couple fights, he's been knocking dudes out. He's a young kid. I gotta go with Siedenblad here, but don't be surprised if an upset occurs either.
Yeah, with 31 fights, I had to dig into some because I plan on betting them, and the ones that I looked at right away, and I was like, ooh, I'm not touching this one. I didn't go too far, so. Marshman, I think I watched 2 fights out of Marshman. I didn't see anything particularly great out of him. Siedenblad has always been somebody. I think you've already seen the ceiling for Siedenblad. The height, he utilizes the height pretty well. He does have a bit of tall man defense going on, but the grind is, he looks like a strong dude. You know what I mean? Like, the grind is pretty good. You want to say the sub game is good, but it's always kind of like against an okay guy or an untested guy, even at Jotko at that point. Like, did you think much of Jotko at that time? That's like you said, it's not the same guy as today. So, Siedenblad is just a guy who's going to be middle of the road probably forever. If Marshman can swing and hit him hard, he could probably get him out of there. But I think more likely, if Siedenblad cage pushes him, drags him to the ground a couple times, gets on top, and wins probably 2 rounds that way, if not all 3. But like you said, Marshman lands a KO, I wouldn't be terribly surprised. But I don't think either one of these 2 guys is going much of anywhere.
Would you recommend parlaying Siedenblad here?
No, I would not. Because I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend doing anything with Siedenblad unless you've got Gareth McClellan on the other side of it. That one felt okay, and I did bet that one. Him against anybody else is, I don't know. You're just taking a swing, really, for no reason. There's 31 fights. Don't settle on Magnus Siedenblad. Keep looking.
In the flyweight division, we will keep looking because we got Ian Uncle Creepy McCall. He's minus 340. The comeback on Neil Seery is plus 280. Now, Sean, I heard you have an opinion on this fight, man.
Oh yes, I love this fight. There's two breakdowns for this fight. Okay, the first breakdown is you break down one guy against the other guy just skill wise. So Ian McCall's better. The wrestling is definitely better. Maybe even the striking is better as far as what he does. Leg kicks, other kinds of kicks, decent hands, decent footwork. Seery is just a gritty, and Ian McCall's sure as shit gritty too. Seery is super gritty, and I'm telling you, his hands are better than Ian McCall's hands. His overall striking probably isn't better than Ian McCall's. His wrestling definitely is better. And, you know, Siri makes some fight IQ mistakes that I don't like. Yeah, so skill-wise, with no context involved, if I was going to break down this fight, I would say that Ian McCall is going to win. But there's a whole lot of context here, Ian McCall, no secret to anybody who follows the sport, he's real old and real broken down, older than his age, older than Neil Siri's age. He's been around forever. He's constantly injured. You know, there's so many that his shoulder, his hip, his back, his hand, you know what I'm saying? It's always something new. His life, drugs, people around him dying of drugs. He lives with his parents. He lives with his grandparents. He's got a daughter. Somebody around him is disabled. I forget who's disabled. He's just got a fucking lot on his plate. He's been talking retirement for how long? Years, right? Talking retirement for 3 years, maybe more. We've seen the best out of Ian McCall. Ian McCall is still a skilled guy, but it's over. It's over for him. He needs to retire. He hasn't retired. The biggest thing about this particular fight is this guy peaked twice already. He trained for a fight. He got right up to the doorstep of the fight. Scoggins, no fight. Back down. He peaks for a fight. He trains. He gets all the way up to the fight with, what's his face there? Jiu-jitsu guy. Help me.
Ray Borg.
Help me. Ray Borg gets all the way up peaks for Ray Borg, gets ready. Ray Borg is sick. No fight. Now, again, training, peaking, getting ready for a fight. A guy who's always injured, can you not get injured at 3 back-to-back camps with no fight? Where's the breaks come? What is the protocol for getting ready for a fight over and over and over again and not having a fight? What does that do to you mentally? How many old injuries did you aggravate? This fight, there's been a little bit of shit talk going back and forth where they want, to have a fight of the night type fight. They want to have a throwdown, a high-paced, let's go at it brawl. That kind of fight favors Siri. If Ian McCall wanted to come out and wrestle and go, oh, no, I need to win this fight, let me come out and wrestle. If he wanted to do that, he could do that, and he could probably win this fight pretty easy. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to go to Ireland. I think he's going to hear that Irish crowd. I think he's going to get psyched up. I think he's broken down coming into this fight, and he wants to brawl. On the other hand, you got Siri. Siri, contextually, is doing exactly what you want a guy to do. He's going, wow, this game is passing me by. I've done some good things. I think I've probably hit the ceiling. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call out Ian McCall. We're going to have a great fight in front of my hometown fans, and then win or lose afterwards, I'm going to retire. This guy is retiring on his own terms. He's not waiting till he's Ian McCall. He's doing it first. And with that Irish crowd behind him, he's going to come out and want to brawl. Ian McCall is going to fall into that, and they're going to brawl. And if we're talking a striking match, a brawl, I favor Neil Siri at this point. I like his hands better. I like his chin a little bit better. I like his toughness a little bit better. And this is going to be a close fight. I think it's going to go to decision in front of the Irish fans. I like one guy who's going to obviously leave it all on the table. There's no other way that he's not going to leave it on the table. He's not going to come out and be careful. He wants to come out and go to war. And the other guy who's like, I don't know, I want to do something else besides fight. I want to grow weed, or I want to sell weed. I want to do this. I want to have a podcast. He wants to do something else besides fight. This is a big deal for one guy, and I don't know how the fuck Ian McCall's up for this. He's already gotten up. This is the third time of getting up. Come on. And what was it when it came out? Was it 365 or 325? At plus 325? Are you kidding me? This could be a close fight. If it goes to the cards, you've got the Irish people going nuts. It could easily swing Siri's way. It could easily swing Siri's way without that crowd involved. So that's what I like. I like Neil Siri. I put 2 units at him at plus 325 to win 6.5. That's a solid bet. I'm not sure where the line is at anymore now, but That's a solid bet, just contextually. Just contextually. I got to think that Ian McCall is not going to show up great and that he's hurt, and that Neil Seery is just going to give it one last hurrah and try his hardest. I hope this stays on the feet and doesn't turn into a wrestling match, because that's money out the window if it's wrestling time. But I like Seery. I like it standing up. I like him to win a decision.
Swinging for the fences, eh? I like it, man. And, I mean, both these guys are such badasses. I mean, Ian McCall, one of the pioneers of the flyweight division. Neil Seery, I mean, he's an Irish bar brawler coming off serious ass whoopings. The only difference is that Ian McCall's against Lineker was, back before USADA, back before the Reebok deal. It's been a long time since we've seen Ian McCall fight. With Neil, he got his butt whooped by Horiguchi, but he took that ass whooping like a man and hung in there for sure.
He always fights back. He always tries to fight.
To me, it just comes down to where this fight takes place. If it's a brawl, Neil Seery's got a great chance. If this is a wrestling match, obviously you got to favor McCall. But man, I mean, I spoke to McCall recently. I've been listening to a lot of his interviews, and I mean, the dude, he doesn't try to hide the fact that he's banged up, and he's had enough. He's been fighting since 2002. Back in in Mexico, you could soccer kick dudes, and yeah, he's banged up. And I like what you said about how, Seery's going out on his own terms, whereas McCall could have already gone out, but he's choosing to stay here. We're going to talk about stuff like this when we talk about Chandler versus Benson, but, just like, remember when Chuck Liddell had that decision versus Wanderlei Silva, and then you remember when he lost that split decision to Keith Jardine? Two guys that he would have knocked out cold in his prime. The Wanderlei Silva fight was fight of the year, but to Chuck's standards, back when he used to knock dudes out in the first round, he would have knocked Wanderlei out back in the day. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say here, Sean, is that before they start getting knocked out every single fight, you have to see those first couple of performances where they start to decline a little bit. And this could be that spot for Ian, and then they start losing to guys that they normally wouldn't lose to. I mean, like Chuck getting knocked out by Rich Franklin, that would have never happened in his prime. So yeah, it goes from those first couple performances where they lose those close decisions, and then they just start getting knocked out every single fight. So Seery could also do the thing that will make me throw my remote control across the room, which is somehow engage in his own wrestling with McCall. You know what I mean? He has the thing about doing that, like, hey, I'm winning this part. Let me switch to a part that I'll obviously lose. We don't want him to do that. I don't see him doing that, to be honest with you. The only thing,
I fucking hope not.
No, he's not going to do that. What I'd be worried about is him being put on his back and him not being able to get up. That's what I'm worried about.
That can happen too. The thing that I'm looking to overpower that is that place is going to be fucking loud. You know what I mean? And I just feel like Ian McCall is the kind of guy who's going to go, ooh, this is going to be fun. Let's go. You know what I mean? And Seery's thinking, oh, please let this motherfucker brawl with me. So if listeners, like, if you can get Seery at plus 250, just throw a unit on it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good contextual bet. This is the one where if you bet this situation 5 times, you'll win 3, in my opinion. Daniel, this is the kind of pick that got me my high school nickname.
Oh, yeah? What's your high school nickname, Sean?
Faggot. Yeah, plenty of units. Plenty of units on Seery. It's a good spot, I'm telling you. Fade McCall here against anybody. After this third trip to a fight, he's finally going to get the fight. He's got to be just let down by every time. He's got to be looking to get out. And now he's got a real tough guy who does not want to let him get out. It's a good spot.
I might have to do it, man. I mean,
do it.
I love these underdogs, so I mean, it's
do
just,
it, and if you lose, just blame me.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, the thing here is, will Ian be able to hold him down? Because I mean, last time Ian fought in Ireland against Brad Pickett, but that was a long time ago. That was before USADA, before Reebok. That's back when he was somewhat in his prime. Now he's way past that, so I'm not convinced he can move around like that anymore. But what if he can?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if this comes in and Ian McCall looks good, we're gonna lose. You know what I mean? I have nothing supporting the idea that McCall will look good. I have everything supporting the idea that he won't. You know what I mean? Like, this guy is an open book. He's not running around saying, this is the best I've ever felt. he's honestly saying the opposite. You know what I mean? Listen to his podcast. All he talks about is how horrible shit is for him. It's okay. We believe you. Good luck. It's not a good look.
Next up, we got Teruto Ishihara. He's minus 250, and Artem Lobov is plus 210. Now, Ishihara, I mean, he's a lot of fun to watch, man. He's a nice knockout artist, and basically it's, he'll either knock you out in the first round or two, or he'll gas out a little bit. I mean, you recall his UFC debut against Mizuto Hirota, man. I mean, he dropped him like four times in that first round and then gassed out hard the next two rounds. So, I mean, is he going to get Artem out of there? It's kind of hard to get Artem out of there. I mean, I have seen him get TKO'd, but it was via ground and pound, against Mike Wilkinson back in the day. But most of the guys that beat him, they grapple him. The thing with Artem is he comes with that heat for the first 4 minutes. But after the first 4 minutes, he kind of falls apart a little bit. Another thing, when I think about Teruto Ishihara's fights, in his last one, I bet the under 1.5 because in Teruto's wins, he has an over 75% hit rate for the under 1.5. But man, Artem's really durable. So it's a matter, are you going to blind bet the under 1.5 because it is plus money because of that percentage? Or is this one of those situations where it's like, look, even though Artem's a 500 fighter, it's very tough to knock him out, Sean?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Here's the thing about Ishihara. Like, I understand stances on Ishihara. Like, oh, this guy's fun. He hits hard, obviously, but what's really, you know what I'm saying? It seems like there's only a matter of time before he gets stomped out by a good dude, right? Like, he's climbing the ladder. Like, he's going to run into a hard fucking ceiling soon. Somebody's just going to take him down and pulverize the shit out of him. That's kind of true at this point, and you can't really debate around that. That looks like it's going to happen. But here's things about Ishihara that people don't pay attention to because they're caught up in the excitement. The motherfucker's sneaky. Like, he has a plan. I don't know if he has a plan B, but his plan A is pretty good. Like, he wants you to follow him, and his step back and swing at you is really pretty slick. Like, he does step back at the right angle and hit you from a weird side that you didn't quite see, and he's pretty accurate with it, even though it's not a straight punch or not the most technical looking thing. Like, he's got a game plan. Like, he's got a thing that he wants to do to you. And Artem, Artem's shitty. He is. Like, he's not good. Like, he's trying that flowy Conor McGregor kind of style. He wants to do those kinds of things, but his head doesn't move at all. I think that he's McGregor's like punching bag in the gym. I think that's caught up to him. Like, he probably gets his ass kicked constantly at the gym.
Not just at the gym, even in the warm-up room before Conor's about to walk out. Like, I heard some stories because Eddie Alvarez, when he fought Cerrone, that was the same night that Poirier fought Conor. So Conor and Eddie were warming up in the same room, and Eddie said that Conor just beat the fuck out of Artem. So I doubt that's the first time.
Yeah, I can completely believe that. And this guy, he would have been cut long ago if not for that connection. You know what I'm saying? He's shown me nothing, really. Like, he really does walk at you with his hands down, wanting you to trade with him. The problem is that most guys do that to bait you into something because they've got that counter ready. This fucking guy ain't baiting you into shit. He's like, let's go, face first. Oh, you hit me. Oh, you hit me 1,000 fucking times. I'm obviously going to lose this fight. Like, he's not good. And now he's fighting somebody who is baiting him. And this guy he's not gonna all of a sudden be sneaky. He's not gonna all of a sudden go, oh no, I'm a different guy now. No, he's gonna do Artem things. He's gonna come forward and he wants to slug it out. And this is obviously the wrong guy to slug it out with. So Ishihara's ceiling is coming soon, but this guy is tailor-made. They want an exciting fight. They're gonna get one. They're gonna trade, and Ishihara is gonna land first, and he's gonna land harder. And chin comparison, I'll tell you what, we found out in Hirota fight that dude is durable as well. You know what I'm saying? And there's something about him. He's obviously psychotic. If you ever watch him talk, he believes in himself. Guys like that don't just fade away and disappear. He's thinking, all I got to do is hit you once. And he's 2 rounds in the bucket getting the shit knocked out of him, and he's still thinking the same thing. All I got to do is hit you once. You know what I mean? we've seen Lobov just be stunned out there and just be like, I don't know what to do. It's not, you know what I'm saying? There's no depth there. I like Ishihara. I like him by knockout, but the under, I'm right on the fence with that because I think they could miss each other a lot until something finally lands. So I left that alone, but I did put Ishihara with Horiguchi. That paid even money. I put 1.5 units on that to win 1.5 units.
I'm glad you brought up that step back he does, man, because that's an absolutely beautiful technique. And obviously, he is thinking when he does it because he's done it more than once.
Yeah.
It's one of his go-tos.
Yeah, it's not a mistake. Yeah.
And that last one against that 2-3 jobber that he knocked out, I mean, that was a beautiful example of that. And that kid, even though he's got a shitty record, you know, he knocked out Polo Reyes, you know? The guy that Taruto just knocked out, that kid knocked out Polo Reyes. So, I mean, yeah. Don't be fooled by that record. That dude can stand up too. And yeah, Taru knew exactly what he was doing. But now it's going to be interesting, man, because Artem can counter too.
It's true, but Artem is exactly that level of guy, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, he is the kind of guy who's going to fall for exactly what Ishihara wants to do. You know what I'm saying? That's not making Ishihara great. That's just making sort of a replay of the fights that he's won. He's going to step back and he's going to land a bomb, and Artem is there for it. He's going to eat one. Can he eat them for 3? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, in my opinion, Artem's best chance is in the first 4 minutes.
Yes. And that's us guessing that Ishihara can't take it. You know what I mean? He can take it. I think Ishihara's good here.
Next up, in the heavyweight division, we got Timothy Johnson. He's minus 145, and Alexander Volkov is plus 125. Now, I was actually kind of surprised when the UFC signed Alexander Volkov. You know, you remember him from Bellator. You know, he's 6'7". He looks like Alexander Gustafsson, but he doesn't fight like Gustafsson at all, man. I mean, look, if you stand and bang with this guy for too long, you know, you can eat a nice head kick, go to sleep. You know, he can knock you out for sure. But the way to beat him has been exposed more than once. You got to take this dude down to the ground. Because when you take him down, you know, maybe you struggle on that first takedown, but once you finally get him down, he's not getting back up. You know what I mean, Sean? So, I mean, you know, Tim Johnson, he's a D2 wrestler off the top of my head. Might even be D1, but I'm pretty sure it's D2. And look, man, I mean, he has to have a disciplined fight here. You know, if he tries to stand and bang, he could win. You know, he's got a shot there, but he puts the odds in his corner if he takes his fight to the ground. And I think he will, man. He's a smart dude. He has been out a while, but, I mean, the guys he's fought in the UFC are all legit. You know, he beat Marcin Tybura. You know, he beat Shamil Abdurrahimov. And, you know, he fought tough with Jared Rochal, who's a tough guy to look good against. So I'm going with Tim Johnson, but, you know, it's all about the game plan here, man. He's got to fight smart.
Every time that I see Volkov's name pop up, I get a little excited because I instantly, for a second, confuse him with Minakov, who's the guy who kind of interests me. You know what I mean? I'm like, ooh, they signed him? Oh, not that one. Fucking Volkov. Oh, yuck. You know, the one thing that he has going for him is that I love tall guys who like to clinch because over the years, Gustafsson is a good example. I think that tall guys who like to clinch can hit you with knees harder and more unexpectedly than guys with other frames. And Volkov can do that kind of thing. I always feel like that's super dangerous, especially when if that tall guy likes that, and the tall guy is usually somebody you want to get close to so he doesn't have his tall weapons, and he's waiting on the clinch, then you're falling right into that. But you know, there's nothing special about Volkov. Not like there's anything special about, you know, Timmy Big Dick, but I am not a believer in Volkov. I've seen him fold up and not look good. His cardio isn't great either. Timothy Johnson looks like his best attribute is toughness, and he's got probably better than average cardio for a heavyweight and a guy who's built like him. Maybe it's an illusion because he's kind of a fat guy and you're waiting for him to gas out and then he doesn't, but got a pretty decent gas tank, got some grit, wants to win the fight. I think that's enough to probably get it done here. I don't know if he gets constant takedowns on Volkov, but I bet you he stays engaged with him and pins him against the fence and sucks up whatever Volkov deals out. Not to mention he could tag Volkov because you know, Volkov, again, with that tall guy defense, his head's not really moving. It's just floating there in the same spot all the time. I like Timmy Johnson here too, but don't be too surprised if Volkov keeps some distance and puts 2 rounds in the bank before he gets hammered in the 3rd round. Pass, but I'll pick Timmy Johnson.
The co-main event of the evening, lightweight division, we got Ross the Real Deal Pearson. He's minus 125. The comeback on Stevie Ray is plus 105. Now, this one's going to be fun while it lasts, man. I mean, these two are going to come to stand and bang. Obviously, with Ross Pearson, one of the most experienced guys in the UFC lightweight division, but also towards the end of his career, man, his last 6 fights, he's arguably on a 6-fight losing streak, Sean. And also, I don't know if you recall his last fight, but I was there, against Jorge Masvidal. And, man, Jorge dropped him in the 2nd round. And at the end of that round, Ross Pearson, he puts his hands up in the air as if he won the fight. He goes up to George and gives him a hug. And, you know what I mean? Acted like the fight was over. Jorge was like, dude, we still got one more round to go. You know what I mean? That's how deep in the game Ross Pearson is, And he said, look, I'm going to take a lot of time off because he had 2 fights in the same month. He fought Will Brooks and Masvidal that same month of July. And now he's coming back already. That's not enough time off, in my opinion, Sean. That's coming back too soon, man. With Stevie Ray, his last fight, it was quite uncharacteristic of him. He did get grinded out for 3 rounds by Alan Patrick. And, at first I thought, maybe Stevie just had an off night. Maybe he was sick, because I've seen him grapple before. And he's one of, he can totally grapple fine, man. But then I watched it again, and it's just credit to Patrick, man. He was the stronger, more athletic guy, and he had the perfect game plan that night. Ross Pearson's not about to take down Stevie Ray for 3 straight rounds. These two are going to stand and bang. Stevie Ray's a southpaw. It's always harder to deal with these southpaws, and it's even tougher to deal with a southpaw when you're an aging competitor and you're not as fast as you used to be. You're slowing down. You get rocked in spots that you didn't used to get rocked in anymore. All of a sudden, you're not as durable as you used to be. You use a lot of head movement to close that distance, but once you start, getting caught by shots on the way in, then you start to get discouraged, and then you start to not throw as much, and then you get outpointed, and you either lose by 3rd round TKO or by unanimous decision. I got Stevie Ray. The Scot will prevail. I got 1 unit at plus 105, Sean.
When this line first came out, I was like, oh, that's a bet. This fight's made. Yep, I know what I'm doing here. And I went and looked, and, Ross Pearson has got to be at the end of the road. Like, we've been saying that he's been at the end of the road for a while. And what he does is he digs down and he toughs it out and he puts together a decent performance, and he relies on his strong points, which is his boxing. And he's pretty good at it. He's pretty decent at it. He's not easily dissuaded from that game plan. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a guy to fold up 10. He is a guy to stand there and take a fucking ass whooping, though. Sometimes he looks lost out there. And when somebody's really got him outgunned and outclassed, like, it feels to me like he knows it. You know what I mean? Like, in the face of that, he goes, fuck it, let's fight anyway, and just goes forward. And you got to like him for that. He's got skills. Stevie Ray, I was, at first I was like, oh, I don't believe in these guys. I don't believe in the Euro prospect, really. There's not a ton of them that have gotten to the point where they're confirmed good. Something always happens along the way. The wrestling always gets exposed. But after watching Stevie Ray a couple times, he looks like he's a little different. He looks like he's a little special. His hands are faster. He's got some killer instinct on him. He wants to be able to finish you, and he's a decent finisher. And the wrestling looked above that really questionable Euro level until that last fight. And I'm waiting for an excuse about that last fight, and there doesn't seem to be one, which, great. If you don't, if there isn't one, there isn't one. Or if there is one and you're not telling us, good for you. But he looked terrible. Not only did he get wrestled easily, he got hit a lot, and he got hurt, and he got, by single, like, big wild pot shots. He's so concerned about the takedown, he just forgot to do other things. So I went from, okay, I got to bet this one, to backing off completely and leaving it alone. And I'll tell you why it's because Ross Pearson versus Stevie Ray standing up. I think that Pearson probably could get off on him, and it's probably going to be a little closer than we think. But the weird thing is that I think Pearson can take down Stevie Ray. I think he can do that same thing to him and confuse him and hit him and then go for a takedown and get Stevie Ray thinking, and then kind of some of the same things that happened in Patrick happen again. He's worried about what's coming next, and he doesn't stop the right thing, and he loses rounds that way. I think that we've seen Ross Pearson go for clinches, clinch takedowns, cage push, and just normal takedowns out in the middle of the octagon before. And when you don't expect him to, you kind of forget that it happened. But it is something that he does. So Stevie Ray has to watch out for that. I think that Stevie Ray wins this. I think him being not quite at home, but almost at home makes a big difference to him. If I have to make a pick, it'll be Stevie Ray. But for a bet, I'm going to pass.
The main event of the evening. Gegard Mousasi is minus 600. Uriah Hall's plus 450. As you recall, they fought once before. Mousasi won the first round. He dominated him with the grappling. Even though there was that close armbar that Uriah Hall did have, but aside from that, he did get dominated in the first round. Then out of nowhere in the second round, Uriah Hall spin kicks and knocks him out, throws a flying knee, subsequent ground and pound stop the fight. Can he do it again, Sean? You know, it's funny because in this spot, you know, it's one of those things where after it happened the first time, people are saying, oh, but 9 times out of 10, Gegard Mousasi would win. Well, they don't fight 10 times. But this time, they're actually fighting again, so maybe we can use that argument. You know, are we going to start saying at 9 times out of 10 he'd win? Because if that's the case, he better win this time, Sean.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that was a different Musashi than it'll pop up this time. He's obviously found something. I don't know what's changed in him, but around the latest fight, you were like, oh, this is obvious. There's something different about them. Now it's confirmed. There's something different. The way he talks is different. The way he acts is different. The way he fights is different. He's got to get one back here. I'm sure that he's kind of a cold kind of guy who's not thinking, ooh, it's revenge time. He's probably not thinking that at all. He's probably thinking his weird Musashi robot thoughts that he always thinks. But I think if there's I think, like you said, 9 out of 10 times Musashi wins that fight. Obviously, the lightning will not strike twice. That's as crazy of a fucking fluke thing that's ever going to happen. I don't see a fluke thing like that happening again. Hall just got knocked out, and now he's got this fight, a short notice for 5 rounds. He's a head case. We know he's a head case. He talks about himself as being a head case. This isn't really a great spot for him. It's a fucking horrible spot for him. The trickery here is Musashi saying that he is going to pace himself. He was too aggressive in the first fight. He's going to relax. He's got plenty of time to do it. Blah, blah, blah. I don't like the idea of him giving Uriah Hall confidence by not attacking him constantly. I would much rather Musashi attacks him and takes him down at least and beats him up and isn't out there giving Uriah Hall room to spinning ninja kick in the air 53 times before he does something. I don't like that. Let's, hang back and see what happens kind of approach. So hopefully he doesn't do too much of that, because in my opinion, that's more dangerous than just, going after him. But he probably will do that. He probably will hang back. He'll get his takedowns. He'll do some of the same stuff he did in the first fight. He'll eventually wear Hall down, and I think he gets a stoppage late in the fight, maybe, round 4 or so. I think he gets a stoppage with Hall's back up against the cage, punching until the ref gets there. Not quite the Vitor performance, but pretty close.
I've been hearing some interviews with Uriah Hall, and he said, these guys don't want to stand with me, and they all want to wrestle me. And it's like, dude, your last 2 fights, Robert Whittaker wanted to stand with you, and Derek Brunson wanted to stand with you too. So I don't really know what he's talking about, man.
Yeah, exactly. There are plenty of guys who standing with you. It did not work out well for you. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy who lands a kick on you, and then if you take it, he goes, well, what the fuck do I do now? You know what I'm saying? You can see him think it. You can see him do it. He hit Whittaker with some fucking shots, dude. He hit him with one neck kick late in the fight, and I was like, ooh, that kills almost anybody. And Whittaker was like, nope, didn't do it. And he was just like, oh, fuck, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? And it's these inopportune things where you're like, if you're rooting on Hall and he starts to spin, you just got to roll your eyes at that point. Because, yeah, he's got a chance of taking you out with it, but what he's really going to do is he's going to miss on a spin, and his knee is going to end up over your shoulder, and he gives you the takedown, or you step in mid-spin and you've got his back instantly. Like, it's always like come on, dude, just punch. Like, that happens so many times. The tricks are gone, dude. That was it. That's the career highlight, is the Musashi spin kick. That's it.
Yeah, I don't really see a reason to bet this fight unless you have some prop in mind, because, I mean, for me, it's like, obviously Musashi should win the fight. On Uriah Hall's best day, he can knock out Musashi with a spin kick. On his worst day, he loses to John Howard. You know what I'm saying, Sean?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what the weird thing about the Musashi finish was that he hit him with a spinning cannonball, then ran up, jumped in the air, and flying kneed his fucking face right off, and then landed on him, and then punched him, and Musashi wasn't knocked out. That's crazy. So what do you really have to do to knock Musashi out? You know, you did get the finish that time, but, well, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. This is not a good spot for Hall. I don't know why they did this to him, but if you've ever listened to the guy talk, I'm sure he's not enthusiastic about this fight right now.
Man, he's brutal with the media. Have you heard any of his recent interviews?
Yeah, he's terrible. He's terrible. He gives off asshole like stronger than any other person, any other fighter that I've heard talk. Nobody gives off more asshole vibe than Uriah Hall. It's true.
Well, let's talk about some of these early prelims. So starting off the card, we got Razak Al-Hassan. He's minus 335, and the comeback on Charlie Ward is plus 275. Now, Vic sent me a message, and he's like, dude, Razak Al-Hassan's like a fucking Rumble Johnson knockout artist. And then I looked him up. I mean, the kid's got a judo background, and he can knock dudes out. Super athletic, obviously. Comes to fight, you know, he gets back up from the takedowns when they do occur. With Charlie Ward, you know, he isn't very experienced. I believe he's only 2-1 or 3-1, and he's from SBG. So when you when you hear that he's from SBG, you think, oh, so he's got spin kicks and, you know, unorthodox striking. But it's like, nah, actually, he's more of like a Cahal Pendred type, you know, kind of like big and burly, and tries to wrestle you down, tries to get the ugly decision. So. Listen, man, I got Razak Al-Hassan here via experience and via dynamic athleticism and knockout power.
I instantly looked at this fight and passed. I watched one fight from each guy. Based on watching one fight from each guy, I'll go with Al-Hassan too. But, you know, we don't know jack shit about either guy, to be honest. Who really knows? Pass on this one. I don't know enough.
Next up, we got Brett Johns. He's minus 210, and the comeback on Kwan Ho Kwok is plus 175. Now, Brett Johns, you know, he does win a lot of his fights via grappling, but it's not, your double leg and your single leg and stuff like that. He's the kind of dude that's kind of slick with taking the back, and, he does go to decision a lot, but he's beat some UFC vets. I believe he might be undefeated, Sean, but he is coming off a layoff, but he finds ways to win, man. He's slick. And with Kwan Ho Kwok, I mean, he's a dynamic striker, very athletic. Biggest problem is that he does get taken down a lot. You know, he does work back up to his feet, but he also, his takedown defense isn't that great. So, I mean, who's going to show up here? I mean, is Brett Johnson going to be able to implement his game plan, take the back of Kwan Ho Kwok, or is, Kwan Ho going to get off on that striking and potentially knock out Brett Johnson, make him pay for the fact that he hasn't, been active in a while, man? So it's another tough one for me to call. You got to see how they look in that debut, and I would recommend staying away unless you know something that we don't.
Jimmy Quack Kwan, and I don't care. That's his new nickname. He's got to go by that from now on. You like that? Jimmy Quack Kwan? You love it. Jimmy Quack Kwan, I think I did go look at this fight because I did want to bet Kwan Ho Kwok. He's got a pretty decent game. The fundamental game is good. The footwork is good. He really depends on leg kicks and solid like 1-2, 1-2-3 combinations. He's not terrible. He's pretty fast. We know these Korean guys can fight. We know plenty of good guys who've come out of Korean top team. The problem is, if you want to see the best of him in a way. You go watch that Alp Ozkilic fight. He looked pretty good there, but his flaws were kind of magnified too. He does get taken down. He has a problem getting back up. His cardio is a little, because he tries so hard to hit you during the fight. He's not terrible. And when I saw a plus 170, I was like, ooh, let me watch, 4 or 5 fights for each guy. And still, wasn't enough. The reason why it's not enough is Brett John's not a terrible wrestler, not a terrible sub game, but it's that thing that we've already talked about, is that Euro wrestling game. Like, what does that really mean? I just keep on thinking it really means nothing. It should be enough to get it here, though. In 3 rounds, I think he'll win 2 rounds by grinding. I think sort of a home crowd will do it for him. They'll be behind him. I would like to go with Jimmy Quack Kwan, but I can't do it here. If it was in Asia or in America, I might. But over there, I'll pass.
Definitely check out my boy Adam Hunter's podcast, because when they talk about Kwan Ho Kwak, man, I mean, they got me dying. But, dude, next up, Marion Renault, minus 230. Milana Dudieva's plus 190. Man, I think the school teacher is about to teach a lesson to this young Russian girl, man. Milana Dudieva, she did take some time off because she just had a kid, Sean. I mean, she got her ass whooped by Juliana Pena, and then she had a kid. Now she's coming back to face Marion Renault. And listen, if there's one thing about Marion Renault, she's tough as hell. I mean, she can stand up and piece you up, but she can also tap people out. I mean, she submitted Jessica Andrade with a triangle choke, and now Jessica is doing big things. So, man, I think Marion Renault's got a point to prove. A lot of people thought she won her last fight against Ashley Evans-Smith. I didn't go back and rewatch it, but, I bet on Ashley in that fight, and people got mad at me for cashing that ticket. All good. But in this spot, man, I feel like Marion's got a point to prove, and Milana Dudieva, her win in the UFC against Elizabeth Phillips, everyone thought she lost that fight. So she's 0-2 in the UFC. Sean, I feel like she probably has some of that mom quit, you know what I mean? So
the mom quit.
Yeah, I got to go with Marion Renault here, man. Who you got?
I got Doctor Strange, because I went to go and see Doctor Strange. If you're going to see Doctor Strange, you have to go see it in IMAX 3D. Like, these Marvel movies are getting to the point where they're government released. Like, these movies are for the people. Like, it's kind of weird because it's the only things that Hollywood gets behind. And truth is, half of them are fucking terrible, but half of them are good. This one is one of the good ones. It's super good. It's really creative. It's funny. It's really actiony, and IMAX 3D, whole different fucking story. So if you're gonna go see one of the blockbusters and it's not Arrival, go see Doctor Strange instead.
Oh yeah, is Arrival the real deal?
Arrival is the big one, yes.
Zach Cummings, he's minus 175, and Alexander Yakovlev is plus 155. Sean, I can't seem to get Alexander Yakovlev's fights right. I mean, minus the George Sullivan and the Gray Maynard ones. But man, I was so wrong about his last fight with Kamaru Usman, because I was under the impression that this guy was making huge strides. I thought his George Sullivan performance was that breakthrough where, it was like, hey man, this guy's here to stay. But man, he just...
It might have been. It might be Usman's wrestling is better than we think it is.
Man, Usman's grind is serious. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
That dude is ridiculous, man. So, I mean, with Zach Cummings, we already know the deal. We're not going to see anything different from him. He's a durable, tough dude. He can take a shot. He's strong. He's big. He can take you down. He can go all 3 rounds. We already know the deal with Zach Cummings. You know what I mean? He can take a shot to give a shot. So it's really about Yakovlev here, man. I mean, is he good enough to beat Zach or not?
I think he is. And as far as Zach's durability, that could have gotten beaten out of him. Because when you go back and watch that was a little bit more severe than I thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, he never really looked like he was in serious trouble, but, man, he got his clock cleaned several times. And the takedowns were just not there.
The shots add up, man.
What's that?
I said the shots add up, and he got hit
hard
and often.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time. You know what I'm saying? This isn't new for him. And I think, through having success stalking guys and boxing them, I think that he's now stuck in that rut where he has to stalk you, walk you down, and box you. And for some guys, they love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Pontoon Boat loved it. You know what I mean? Like, Yakovlev, while limited and obviously maybe he has wrestling problems, you know what I'm saying? It's weird because he defended himself good against Maia, even though he didn't get up. But against Usman, he was effortlessly, repeatedly taken down. His hands have looked very good, and then he's also looked super hesitant. You're right, he is tough to figure out. But he's a super hard fellow. Like, he's tough, man. He's tough to get out of there. I'm not quite sure who's going to win this fight. I suspect that Yakovlev is going to win this fight. I like that number on Yakovlev. A lot of that is based on Cummins. I don't think it's there for him anymore. I think that last fight is really going to rack up on him. What I do like is the over. I forgot what price I got that at, but I parlayed Yakovlev over with the Horiguchi over for 1.5 units at plus 102 to win 1.53. I like both those overs. I think this fight in particular definitely goes to the distance. I don't see anybody finishing. I think the biggest chance for a finish is that Zach is even further gone than I think he is, and that Yakovlev hits him with the kind of shot that he hit Sullivan with, which could probably get anybody out of there if you don't see it coming. But I think that Cummins is probably durable enough to make it to the end. And I don't see Cummins getting rid of Yakovlev either. So, yeah, the over.
The one thing I know...
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I've got a round robin, too. I put Yakovlev in the round robin. I think it was at plus 140.
You know I've never done a round robin in my life, Sean.
This is a good one because there's so many fights. So if there's 4 dogs that you're sort of on the fence on and you don't want to spend real money on them, just go ahead and stick them together and hope to win. It's not bad.
The one thing about betting on Yakovlev in any fight is that if he loses, it's going to be the most frustrating way to lose a bet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like it's going to be a situation where you're like, you bet on this fucking guy? Yeah, I did.
Like, you're not
sure did.
You're not getting up from the takedowns ever. Like, you know, it's that kind of thing. But when he wins, he looks like a Russian destroyer. So
yeah,
you know, hopefully he's...
And there's something that's proven about him, and that he's durable and tough and won't quit. So depend on that thing and make your plays off of that thing. Here's 2 guys who can both do what I just said. So it's a good over.
Hopefully he's been in the studio spitting some rhymes, and he comes out here excited, you know what I mean? Because that'd be a nice underdog play. Now, next up, Justin Ledet. He's minus 155, and the comeback on Mark Godbeer is plus 135. Man, I got to tell you what, man. Ledet's got some hands on him, dude. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just nice to see someone with a sharp jab. And it's not just the jab, it's not just the 1-2. I mean, the hand fighting is on point, and also he makes adjustments in the fight. If you recall his UFC debut, he got leg kicked a lot and often the first 3 minutes, and then, you know, he's like, all right, I got to start checking these kicks, and he started checking the kicks. And the reason I bring that up, you know, because a lot of people might say, well, you know, it's common sense to check the kicks, right? Well, you know, his stance is kind of a boxing stance, and, you know, the downfall to the boxing stance is that they're really open to the leg kicks, you know? If you're a Muay Thai guy, you're sparring against a boxer, kick him all day. But Justin Ledet made those in-fight adjustments that aided him, and obviously the leg kicks actually didn't affect him at all, but, you know, eventually they do add up, and that's when he said, look, I'm going to go shin on shin, which hurts the kicker more than it hurts the receiver. And, man, that jab, you know, the thing that's so nice about a jab, and, you know, it's one of the most underrated weapons in my opinion, is that, you know, you get hit with that nice jab, your eye starts watering, and then you start hesitating, then you start questioning, do I really want to attack this guy? You know what I mean? It doesn't knock you out. You know, sometimes it can drop you, but often it doesn't knock you out. It just makes you question things. Like, you recall that performance between Gegard Mousasi and Talis Latis? That's one of the best displays of an MMA jab I've ever seen. And Justin Ledet came in there in his UFC debut, and man, his hands were on point, the hand fighting, the parrying to the jab to the 1-2. He's got that shit down. With Mark Godbeer, I mean, he's your typical bar brawler, you know what I'm saying? He's got a big tattoo on his chest, chucks big bombs, you know? We already know the deal. So isn't that the perfect matchup to showcase Justin Ledet's boxing technique, Sean?
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. It's the perfect matchup. I love this matchup for him. I love Ledet as well. I've got to be a little careful on him because, I like the boxing. this is a particular guy. I don't think I've seen anybody else come out and go, oh, I'm going to show you guys what boxing is about. It's not like this fucker's a great boxer, but what he did was come out and show great MMA boxing. He's got this thing in his head, and he's fucking 100% right. He's like, a jab with these gloves is really easy to land, and you can throw it fast, and you can weave it in between their guard, and there's not a lot of padding there, and you can really bust somebody up. You can really hurt people. You could jab somebody for an entire round and only do that and punish the fuck out of them, and it's got to be the easiest thing to land. Obviously, it opens up spots to get leg kicked, etc., but this guy's like, let me show you what boxing's about. He obviously believes in that. He came out and he wasn't just doing like, George St. Pierre was like landing a jab like it was a straight left, more, you know what I'm saying? And Mousasi against Lattis, he did in between that and Ledet. Ledet, his last fight was about flicking that thing or doubling it or jabbing like it's a boxing match, and that's excellent. That should be a huge weapon. That's one of those things that soon is going to get copied, and it's going to be normal for everybody to be doing that, which is just going to make fights better because it's dangerous as fuck. But he's out there jabbing or double jabbing and following with a really hard straight right hand and timing it and just truly out there looking like he's boxing dudes. And I really like that. And I don't want to get that, inflated in my head is that this guy's good. He's obviously got his downsides. He had some cardio problems. He fell into a couple traps last time. I don't really know what his ground is like, honestly. Luckily, in this fight, I don't think we're going to have to find out. I think that Godbeer is made to order for him. I think he's going to come forward wildly, and he's going to leave plenty of room for Ledet to take a half step back and fire a 1-2 at him. We've already seen Godbeer get stopped. I think this is the kind of fight where he could get stopped again. I think that Ledet has his way with him. He can tee off in a number of ways. But watch that jab, folks. Watch the jab. Watch the 1-2. Watch him really work some boxing on him. I like this kid. He's confident. He knows what he does well, and he's going to go out there and try to do that. And as far as like an up-and-coming brand new dude in the UFC, he's already miles ahead of a lot of guys that we've seen who are confused as to their identity, don't really know how to play things. This guy, sort of a specialist. He's good at it. Let's go do that. I like that. So let's get that going. I've got Ledet in a parlay with somebody else on the next card.
Sean, we asked the fans, would you rather us talk about Amanda Cooper versus Anna Elmos or Benson Henderson versus Michael Chandler? They said they'd rather us talk about Ben Henderson versus Mike Chandler.
No way.
So,
they don't want to hear about Elmos?
In the co-main event of that card, Michael Venom Page, he's minus 450. He's taking on Fernando Gonzalez, who's plus 360. And I got to tell you what, Sean, if Michael Venom Page wins this fight and can knock out Fernando Gonzalez, that's going to let me know that he's legit because, people like to talk about how Connor's protected. Motherfucker, MVP is protected, okay? So, with Fernando, he's a dude that really turned his career around, In all of his Bellator fights, he's been beating UFC vets and dudes that have been around the game for a long time. The one fight he lost, the decision in a kickboxing match to Paul Daly, everyone thought he won that fight. So basically, he's undefeated in Bellator. And, the one time that MVP had a close fight was against Nashon Burrell. Going into that fight, it's so funny. In the pre-fight, MVP's like, you want to kick me? Nah, Sean. You want to punch me? Nah, Sean. But, I bet the under 1.5 in that fight because at that point, MVP was just making everyone look stupid. And, dude, this was a close fight. It, went all three. It was a clinch fest, and a lot of people thought that Nashon Burrell might have got the victory there. And, man, I think Fernando Gonzalez is a lot better than Nashon Burrell. So this fight is really going to tell me what level MVP is on. For me personally, I don't blame anyone for taking that plus 360. I mean, I might even take it myself. For some reason, I feel like I should just sit back and watch and find out firsthand if MVP is the real deal. But this is the fight that's going to let us know, man, because up until now, he's been protected, Sean.
He's absolutely protected. And your thoughts on here's where we're going to find out about Michael Page. He's full of shit. You can take him down and expose him easily, and break him. Or he's special. He is going to do some crazy fancy shit to you, and he might fight a close fight with you until that crazy special shit happens to you, but it's going to happen. If I had to pick one right now, it's too early to really pick one. If I had to pick one right now, I'm going to say he's special. I like what he does. He loves hurting people. He's got great timing. He uses his distance. He's lightning fast. He's got multiple weapons. The ground hasn't looked terrible. He's pulled off some crafty submissions. It's there. It's there. He might have one humongous hole in his game, and we might find it out this time, but I'll lean that we don't. I think he looks like Michael Venom Page again, wins big again, and the legend continues until he gets a real wrestler who's not 95 years old. I think that's where it stops, but for now, I'll believe. I like Page.
Man, if he looks impressive, it's going to tell me a lot, because Fernando's the kind of guy that can beat Michael, because, I mean, he's going to be in his face. He doesn't give a fuck what MVP throws. He's tough as hell. He can clinch, but he can also strike. That kickboxing match with Paul Daly, that's all I needed to see, that this dude can stand and bang, and just everything he's been doing in Bellator, man. He's no slouch at all, so this fight's going to be very telling. But next up, the main event of the evening for that card, Benson Henderson, the former UFC lightweight champion, the former WEC lightweight champion. He's a plus 140 underdog. And the reigning defending Bellator lightweight champion, Michael Chandler, is minus 160. Man, a couple years ago, I would have bet the Benson Henderson by split decision prop, because every fucking Benson Henderson fight goes to decision, and usually it's a split decision. You know what I mean, Sean? And Benson Henderson in his prime, he'll kick you in the calf. What was so cool about him, man, back in the WEC, remember that first fight with Cerrone when, he was in those deep arm bars and his arm was twisted all the way upside his head, and, he was totally fine. He was just chilling there. You could jump off the fence and kick him in the head, send him flying, and then he'd pop right back up. Like, you remember those days? Like, Benson Henderson was one of the most durable guys in lightweight history, man. I mean, Frankie Edgar, a lot of people don't remember that Frankie Edgar dropped Benson 2 to 3 times throughout the series of their fights, and he gets right back up, man. I mean, but then he started not getting back up. Rafael Dos Anjos knocked him out, Pettis submitted him, and then the fight started getting closer and closer. You recall that fight with Rustam Khabilov, where in a 3-round fight, that's a 29-28 Khabilov, but a 5-round fight, Benson was able to get it done. That fight with Thatch got very hairy at times. A lot of people, myself included, thought that Masvidal might have got the nod. But, at that point, he was still really damn good. But once he left the UFC and he went to Bellator, man, I mean, first of all, that fight against Koreshkov, that was a fucking career-changing beating, man. He got his ass whooped pillar to post for 5 straight rounds. I mean, dropped with flying knees, dropped with punches, and it was really fucking bad. Then you hear him on all the telecasts, and he's fucking punch-drunk beyond belief. And then his next fight, so you say, well, Koreshkov's legit. I agree, he is legit. But, I mean, he also gave him a legit ass-whooping. So you say, all right, well, Koreshkov's too big. Let's give him a smaller guy. Let's give him a fucking 45er. So he faces Patricio. Dude, I thought he looked like total shit in that fight too, man. It's like, how does he bounce back from that ass-whooping? Well, that's how he bounced back from that ass-whooping. He looked terrible. So now, how's he going to bounce back from, looking bad in a second straight fight? Well, now he's fighting Michael Chandler, who's looking better than he's ever looked. Michael had that rough patch where he had the close fight with Eddie Alvarez. He finished Eddie Alvarez once, but the second time they fought, it was really close. The first Will Brooks fight was close. Then the second Will Brooks fight, whatever happened in the 4th round, I got no explanation for that. All I'm going to go with is that's not going to happen in this fight. Next time Mike fights a power puncher, then I'll be fucking worried about him randomly, not knowing what the fuck, where he is. You remember that shit, man? He just got hit. And
he just wandered around.
He's like, all right.
He Chandlered. That's what we named it. We were like, he just Chandlered all over the place.
Yeah, that was bad, but that's not going to happen here. If anything, the one that's going to get knocked out here is Benson Henderson, man. I mean, fuck, man, because Benson's been looking like total shit. He's completely punch drunk. He wants to go to the military. He doesn't want to fight anymore. I mean, it's over, man. Like we talked about earlier with Chuck Liddell, how when he was on his decline, he didn't, people only remember the end where he got knocked out every single fight, but they don't recall the beginning of the decline where he went to that split decision with Keith Jardine where, he did have the war with Wanderlei, but back in his prime, he would have finished Wanderlei, and then he got knocked out every single fight. Well, with Ben, he looked like shit against Koreshkov and got destroyed, looked like shit against Patricio. This is the fight where he's going to get knocked the fuck out. And it's going to be devastating. It's going to be brutal. And I think that Benson might even retire after the fight. Look, man, he's a legend of the sport. He's given a lot. I've watched all his fights. I tip my cap to him. But this happens to fighters that stay in the game too long. He stayed in the game too long. I think Chandler's going to put him out, man. So I took the under 3.5 at plus 150. Or it might even be plus 155. And I'm going to put some money on Chandler straight too. But the line keeps going down. So I'm going to wait for all the nostalgic Benson Henderson fans, all the dudes that are like, I've been watching since UFC 1, But no, I'm gonna play Chandler here, man, and still.
Well, here's the thing: if Benson Henderson has not looked good since he switched over, and he's had a couple rough goes before he came over to Bellator. If he can't pull the trigger anymore, he's gonna lose this fight. If he's completely shot, he's going to lose this fight. He's headed towards shot, but I don't think he's completely shot. I think you're completely overselling how shot or not shot that he is. I think the idea that he's crazy punch drunk, I think that's crazy. He sounds pretty sharp to me. He sounds about the same that he's ever sounded to me. He does this thing. I think that he's going to put it together in this fight because what he does is he's a professional workman kind of guy. He understands the situation he is. He understands he's got a beatable guy in front of him, and he understands how to beat him, and he understands that he's got 5 rounds, his comfy home of 5 rounds to do it in. Here's why he'll beat him. Now, Chandler, there was a time where we thought Chandler was shot, right? And then what was the fight that he came back and he gassed in like a round? Was it Rickles, Daniel?
Derek Campos, maybe? Brandon Gertz, one of those guys?
I wanted to say it was Rickles. He knocked the dude out, whoever it was. I forget which guy it was. But why did he gas out so quick? He's always had problems with his gas tank. And he comes on strong early, but eventually he kind of just peters out. And he's a tough guy, so he'll fight back when you push him, but he's just not the same guy later in the fight. And this is a 5-round fight. Here's the reason why Chandler loses this fight, because Benson is not as gone as you think he is. Benson still does what he does best still, which is win rounds, and win rounds when he's got the better gas tank. Benson has a better gas tank than fucking everybody, you know what I mean? Like his gas tank is superior to everybody almost. He's got a great gas tank, and this is a huge, huge advantage in this fight. I think he's going to avoid the serious damage. I think he's going to keep it close. I think he's going to cage push Chandler. I think he's going to get half takedowns. I think he's going to throw those fucking horribly boring calf kicks and body kicks that only land with the foot and don't do any damage but make that huge slapping noise. He's going to do some of that in the first 2 rounds. He's probably going to lose the first 2 rounds. He might even get caught and dropped and have some rough moments. But eventually, say the 3rd round, maybe the end of the 2nd round, where he looks at Chandler and goes, "Ooh, you're slowing down a little bit. I'm not. I got fucking 10 more rounds left in me. Let's push you up against the cage now. Oh, you used to turn me around and put my back on the cage when I did this to you. Now you're not going anywhere. Oh, you used to defend this takedown or pop right back up. Now you're not popping back up. Now you're not defending this takedown." Benson wins round 3 that way. Benson comes forward, throws those body kicks, throws those calf kicks. Chandler's tired. He's backing up, gets against the cage again, repeat. Repeat in the 5th. You got Benson winning the last 3 rounds, losing the first 2. That's a win. And new Bellator champion, Benson Henderson.
Now we're moving on to the UFC Sao Paulo card later that day, and we got Justin Scoggins. He's minus 165. The comeback on Pedro Munoz is plus 145. Now, man, we know that Justin Scoggins had a lot of issues outside of the cage, but now he's moving up a weight class. And, a lot of us thought, or at least I thought, that he was the kind of guy that could have given DJ serious problems, man. But now he's moving up to 135. I don't know what the deal is. Do you know what the deal is, Sean? Because he was looking goddamn good at flyweight. That last fight against Borg was great, man.
Oh, I know what the deal is. This fucking guy. Have you heard him talk about himself? He thinks he's Anderson Silva, dude. He thinks he's the best shit ever. He's so young and so dumb sounding when he talks, like he's so high on himself. Oh my God.
I'd be
would
high
like
on some
him
other
if I
stuff
didn't.
too, son.
I would like him if I didn't have to hear him talk about himself. You know what I mean? Like if he didn't have that opinion of himself, I'd be like, oh, okay, this guy's got some shit. But no, don't be thinking those things about yourself already. You're gonna get knocked down a peg or 3.
Man, I mean, obviously we know he's got that great karate style, a wrestling base. It's hard to take this dude down. In the fights that he's lost, against Moraga, he was dominating that entire fight, and he just kept leaving his head in there for that guillotine. You know who's got a really good guillotine, Sean?
This guy named Pedro Munoz has a pretty good guillotine.
Oh my God, this guy Pedro Munoz, he had this fight with Russell Doan, who's a very tough Hawaiian scrapper, and Russell Doan was getting off on the body kicks. He was landing to the face hard. He was making Pedro Munoz be like, which one of y'all hit me with that? And, out of nowhere, Pedro Munoz gets him in a guillotine choke. He goes from his back to the guillotine. I mean, just the setups are like unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life. And it's not just a fluke. He's done it on multiple people. So Scoggins could be looking amazing here. And one fuck up, one, slip of the mind, and he could be tapping out, Sean. And it's happened before.
Yeah, it's happened before. And the reason why I don't look at Scoggins and think, well, this fucking guy knows that he's not gonna like, don't stick your head in there and risk a guillotine, right, dude? No, I don't think that this guy is that guy. I think this guy, like I said, listen to him talk about himself. He's probably already erased that from his memory. And better yet, if you're not going to go from fight to fight risking getting guillotined like a dummy, this fucking guy does it twice in one fight. Who do you give it to over and over again? Moraga, right? Like, like, hey, guillotine me. Ooh, you almost guillotined me. You want to try again? Here, try again. Ooh, you almost got me that time. Here, go ahead. Give it another shot. Oh, you did get me that time. Like, that was ridiculous. Like, you're just watching that going, you're going to get guillotined. You know who didn't think he was going to get guillotined? Scoggins didn't think he was going to get guillotined. He fucking did get guillotined. So this fight, yeah, Munoz could obviously lock a guillotine on him. But let's talk about the other things. It's standing up. Scoggins moving up in weight, fighting a bigger guy. Munoz is no slouch on the feet either. He can hit. You know what I'm saying? He's rocked people that are better on the feet than Scoggins. Scoggins does some fancy stuff, but I don't really see him doing anything like great with it. It's just unorthodox at this point. Sometimes I think you can pare down and shave down some of this unorthodox stuff and get a much cleaner shot on somebody if you're not worried about being fancy with it. Move up in weight, think you're the best ever, fight Munoz in Brazil. You're going to find out this guy is bigger. He hits hard. He's super dangerous on the ground. So your wrestling game is going to have some fucking problems. And a guy is all about having mental lapses. It'll only take one mental lapse here to get finished. But even without that happening, I give Munoz a good chance to win this just on the feet, winning a decision. In Brazil definitely makes a difference. I like Munoz here. I've got him in that 2-unit round robin. So far, that's Yakovlev and Munoz. And I've got 2 more guys coming on that later in this card.
Well, Munoz inside the distance is plus 350. So if you think he's going to get that guillotine, that might be worth a look. Honestly, Sean, I am picking Justin Scoggins, but dude, I'm rooting for Munoz all day. So I hope you cash this bet. I mean, Munoz is a guy, you mentioned his striking. He's a guy that rocked Jimmy Rivera. He fought 3 tough rounds with Rafael Sao. So, I mean, he's very capable on the feet, and I love the style clash. It's a karate guy in Scoggins versus a King's MMA Muay Thai striker in Pedro Munoz. So, but man, the thing is, Pedro Munoz isn't quite on that, Beneil Dariush level where the kicks are just, you better watch out for Benny's kicks. I mean, you saw what Benny just did to Rashid, which, is, no one fights Rashid like that. One doesn't simply head kick Rashid Magomedov. I don't think Pedro's on that level yet with his striking, but I do think he's slick. I do think he hangs in there, and I do think one lapse by Scoggins will cost him the entire fight. So, it's one of those things where it's like, is Scoggins going to make that mistake or not? That's basically what it comes down to, man. Do you think Pedro can legit outstrike him for 3 rounds?
I do think he can legit outstrike him for 3 rounds. I think, it's sometimes, like we talked about this before, sometimes it's just aggression that'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes in this sport, you don't have to be the better guy. You can be the more aggressive guy. And sometimes that'll just straight up win you fights. I don't blame you for picking Scoggins here. He's definitely got the tools. It's just his attitude is a big point of dissension for me. The way he talks about himself is a big point of dissension for me. Like, he's coming into every fight thinking he's not going to lose, and that's different if you're Conor McGregor and you're like, "Oh, I'm just going to stomp your guts out," and then you do. It's like this guy has lost stupidly plenty of times. Like, well, I don't know about plenty, but has lost stupidly. You know what I'm saying? He's setting himself up for another stupid one. He thinks he's fighting a little guy. He's not. You know what I'm saying? He's not. This is a tougher fight than he's saying anyway. So coming to Brazil, you already had some problems. What was the problem last time? Is it going to be the same problem this time? You're going to make a good weight cut? You're going to go out and party instead? You're going to go sightseeing instead? You're going to eat some Brazilian food instead? Who knows?
What did you think about Scoggins' last fight with Ray Borg? Because I thought that was the best Scoggins we've ever seen.
It was, but I mean, it's just as easy to look at that fight and go, what do we really know about Ray Borg? Ray Borg, if you freeze him up in one thing, he's not that great. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got to be fighting ahead and transitioning between things and trying to catch you in scrambles and stuff like that. That didn't happen. I don't think we know enough about Ray Borg to use that as the victory to coronate Scoggins as Wonder Boy with wrestling. You know what I'm saying? That's what I keep hearing from people, and it's not there for me yet. You dispose of Munoz, and I'll fucking think twice about that shit. You squeak it past Munoz, and I'm right where I am now. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, Sean, and I heard you got a strong stance on this next fight between Luis Henrique. He's minus 270.
Oh, yeah.
The comeback on Christian Colombo is plus 230. Now, this is what I got to say about Christian Colombo, because I know a lot of people are shitting on him. He performed a lot better in his last fight than people give him credit for, man. I mean, those leg kicks were on point. Everyone picked the Man Mountain to beat Christopher Colombo, and I don't care what the judges said. That fight, Christopher won that fight, man. It wasn't or Christian, not Christopher. Christian won that fight, dude. And that shit was not a fucking draw. But regardless, this is a different matchup, obviously. We all know Luis Henrique in his UFC debut. He took down Francis Ngannou. And what happened in that second round? It was one of the most brutal uppercut finishes in UFC history. But you know what? He rebounded.
Good shots.
I got to give him credit where credit's due. Oftentimes we talk about, you don't come back from certain knockouts. Like, you recall Steve Bossie versus Thiago Marreta. And then he came back and won his next 2 fights. Well, this is one of those situations. Luis Henrique came back and he won his next fight after that devastating knockout. That shows me his mental fortitude, man, because, that's a career ender for other guys. And he came back and he was able to implement his game plan like nothing ever happened. So in this fight, I feel like Luis Henrique, he's the younger guy, and he also has more ways to win. If he engages in a Muay Thai fight, he could still catch Christian Colombo, but Christian Colombo, he lets his kicks go, he lets his Thai clinch go, so that's where he has the most chance to win. But Luis can take it to the ground, and he can also keep it standing as well. So I'm gonna go with Luis Henrique. But I heard you really have something to say about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a 3-unit parlay for these cards, and Henrique is half of it. Henrique, now, when you're talking about this guy, you have to talk about him in terms of heavyweights, okay? So when I say he's pretty good, I mean he's pretty good for a heavyweight, which is, isn't saying a ton, But in this case, unfortunately for people like heavyweights, it's kind of fucking true. He like you said, he took a fucking drubbing. That was a massive uppercut followed by whatever came next. It was fucking ugly. Comes back, rebounds, wins the next 2 fights. He's the only Brazilian up and coming heavyweight, right, that I know of. He's a young guy. He has a lot of tools, but none of them does great, but we're talking about heavyweights here. He can take you down. His ground and pound is pretty decent. His striking is not terrible. His defense is not terrible. Like he's kind of a middle of the road kind of guy, which in the heavyweight division right now puts him above middle of the road. Christian Colombo, which I'm just going to go ahead and go with Christopher Columbus because it'll accidentally get there anyway. So Christopher Columbus, fucking terrible. And you can say he won that fight. Okay, maybe he did win that fight, sure. But you had a dead man in front of you. You had a fucking sitting duck in front of you. You can't really land anything. You can push the guy's head down. And I felt like in that position, I could have landed a clean knee. Why can't this guy push his head down and land a clean knee? That's what he does, right? That's his deal. I'm going to knee you. I'm going to do Muay Thai stuff. I'm going to leg kick you. Why can't he get rid of this fucking dead sitting duck guy? He was completely gassed. He's completely sloppy. His knees are gone. He's fucking ancient. This is a bad matchup for him. This is Brazilian fans wanting to see a Brazilian fighter look good, and that's what they're going to get. Henrique, while not great, is miles past Christopher Columbus. He's going to take him down. He's going to beat the fucking piss out of him. And when he's tired, and Henrique isn't tired, the end of the second round, beginning of the third, he's going to get him down. He's going to beat the piss out of him until he turtles and the ref gets there. I don't see Christopher Columbus mounting any kind of offense here. I see him constantly on his back foot, trying sloppy shit over again. It's not going to land. He's going to get landed on. He's going to end up on his back, and he's going to stay there. I love Henrique. As far as all these fights go, he's half of my biggest bet.
That moment when your biggest bet is on Luis Henrique. I wish you luck, my friend.
It's so weird, isn't it? I'm like, wow, who do I feel most confident about? This guy and this guy? Well, fuck. I can't really argue with that. That's how I feel. Let's do it. Let's go, Henrique. You're my fucking hero.
Next up, we got Johnny Eduardo. He's minus 155. The comeback on Manny Gamburian is plus 135. And, man, I'm forever indebted to Johnny Eduardo. I mean, cashing that plus 800 against Eddie Wineland. I believe to this day that's my largest underdog hit. So, that he can lose his next 8 fights and I'll be straight. You know what I'm saying, Sean? But
yeah.
In this spot, I mean, I feel like Eduardo should win. But should doesn't really mean shit. I mean, Gamburian, he's been in the game a long fucking time. I mean, little short, 5'4" guy that throws an overhand. He can take you down to the ground, judo base. He's looked like shit every single fight for the last however long. I mean, and it's been years, man. I mean, his fight with Rob Emerson, he got knocked out in 11 seconds. And this is before the Jose Aldo knockout, you know what I mean? And Johnny Eduardo, he fights and then he takes 2 years off and he comes back. In his UFC tenure, I mean, he went the distance with Rafael Assunção. He knocked out Eddie Wineland, and then he got choked out by Aljamain Sterling. So I think he's been fighting better dudes than Manny. And it's just a matter of, is he going to catch Manny? Is he going to get laid on here? I'll just go with he catches Manny and he gets him out of there.
Yeah, it's completely possible. We talked about this earlier today. I was like, fuck, dude, I have to bet on Manny Gamburian. And, I still can't make myself do it as of right now.
Don't do it.
I don't understand. I know. I don't understand why he's the dog. When I look at this fight and when I go to bet this fight, I can't get past the point where, yeah, Manny Gamburian is going to bull rush Eduardo and take him down and lay on top of him, and he's going to win 3 rounds doing that. I can't get past that. That's how I see this fight going. I don't know why I haven't bet it, because that outcome is fucking stuck in my head, and that price, in my opinion, is wrong. It's off. He shouldn't be the dog here. Johnny Eduardo, for everything you hear about him being a good striker, sure as shit doesn't strike anybody too good. You know what I mean? It doesn't really do too much.
Except Eddie Wineland.
Well, okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's it though. You know, like I know I've shown it to you before. I'll post it for people who haven't seen it, and I'll tag you in it. But Johnny Eduardo was 1/4 of my biggest win ever, which was like 1 unit to win 25 units, a four-team round robin with all on the same night. Philippou was like +3 something against Larkin. Magny was +2 something against, I think it was Tim Means. Eduardo was +7 something against Wineland, and another huge dog on that card. And I just lined them up all in the same round robin. It was fucking humongous. Anyway, I'm not a believer in Eduardo. He has not shown me shit. He can absolutely tag Gamburian before Gamburian got knocked out horribly in his last fight. He can definitely tag Gamburian after that last fight. Now I'm sure Gamburian is halfway rocked when he walks into the fucking cage now. He's also old. He's also broken and injured all the time. But, you know, I mean, Eduardo is a part-time fighter, right? He hasn't fought in 2.5 years, right?
Yeah, he's Coach Eduardo.
He fought Sterling shorter ago than that. But that Wineland win was like 3 years ago, 2.5, something like that. Anyway, I'm not a believer. I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to end up kicking myself for not doing it. But I think Gamburian goes to Brazil and lays on this fucking guy and makes it super boring and makes you get up and go to the bathroom, but he wins.
Yeah, Coach Johnny, he's Nova Unia's striking coach. So he's training with some badasses, and he is one of the badasses there, but it's just about, is he going to implement his game plan? I mean, it's been a long time.
He can't put it together.
It's been a long time.
He's a gym all-star, right? Gym all-star, looks great.
Yeah,
fights, when those lights come on, he's like, oh, what do I do?
At least he's never, been knocked out cold in the UFC, but I know what you're saying. Mike Pyle's known for that. It's been a while since Manny Gamburian's laid on anyone. His only recent win, it was a beautiful guillotine against Cody Gibson. I got to give him credit. It was an unbelievable guillotine, but up until that point, he was getting his ass whooped. And in that Cole Miller fight, that was some terrible reffing, man. He got stopped in the first round, and then they tried to act like it was an illegal blow. And then what the fuck happened after that? So
yeah, he pulled it off. Yeah, I don't know. They're both shit. They are. They're both not good, but I just don't see Gamburian being the dog here. I've never seen anything from Eduardo that makes me think he's anything at all.
Next up, we got Marcos Rogerio de Lima. He's -150. The comeback on Gadzhimurad Antigulov is +130. Now, Sean, I got to play in this fight, dude. With Marcos,
I don't blame you.
With Marcos Rogerio de Lima, I mean, the dude comes to bang. He can knock guys out. But you know what he can't do, Sean? He can't wrestle. And you know what Antigulov can do? I mean, he's a master of sport and wrestling, Sean. And, he's on
master of sport.
He's on a 12-fight win streak. He's been before the board. He's been approved. He's a master of sport. And now he's ready to make his UFC debut and take this guy down who has been taken down before. He's got to avoid the early knockout, which I think he'll be fine. He has faced defeat before back in the day against some tough dudes that are in the UFC. That Edilov dude who popped from Eldonium right before his debut. You know what I'm saying? It's like right before your debut, then you get suspended for 2 years, but they keep you on the roster type thing. But with that being said, I feel like Antigulov is about to grind this guy out, maybe get an arm triangle along the way. But bottom line, that +130, I took it when it was +140, but +130 sounds good to me, Sean.
Yeah, I don't blame you. We're going to go with Iditarod Anti-Medov for his name. We're changing that name. And I like Anti-Medov. That's a good last name. But I feel like if his name was Anti-Medov, that he would be like a really non-Russian type of fighter. Like he would do like Kung Fu or something. But unfortunately, he's very Medov. I almost bounced Yakovlev and put him in instead. But I took Yakovlev instead. But yeah, I think he's going to bum rush. He's going to get takedowns. I don't know if he finds the sub, but I think he's going to stay on top and pound there. I don't think De Lima has the cardio to deal with it. But, debut, far away, the other guy's home. I skipped it. I'll wait and see, and then I'll be mad when he wins instead of making money when he wins.
Sean, that's exactly how I feel about this next fight because we got Jack Hermanson. He's minus 230. The comeback on Cesar Mutanch is plus 190. Now, I mean, we should all bet Jack Hermanson, right? But the thing is, man,
Yes, we should.
you know, when it's minus 230 after it was what the fuck did this shit open at? It opened minus one. It was minus 170. Then it was minus 165. Now it's minus 230. I just can't really do all that. Even though I think he's gonna win the fight, there's no value on that line, man. But at the same time, most likely he's gonna win this fight. I know Cesar's put it together his last 2 fights. He also fought the 2 worst guys in the middleweight roster, in his last 2 fights. I mean, fucking Bang Bos, he can knock guys out, but if he doesn't, you know what happens. And then the other guy,
Andy almost knocked him out.
And the other guy, Anthony Smith, I mean, Jesus Christ, right? So, Mutanch got it done those 2 fights. Congrats. Fair play to him. But Jack Hermanson, man, he's got some good things going on for him. I call him Lil Jocko because, he's got the Jocko footwork. You told me about it last time. You warned me. I didn't listen to you, and then he cost me when I bet on Ask Him like a dumbass. And now I learned my lesson. This guy is legit. He didn't just outpoint Ask Him. He rocked Ask Him, and no one's been able to rock Ask Him until this point.
Yeah.
He took it to him, man. He lands one of those shots that he landed on Ask Him against Cesar, and we know the deal with Cesar's chin. But look, Cesar's athletic, and he's more confident since he had his surgery. He can get a nice blast double here and there. So Jack's got to look out. He's a smaller guy. He can't get put on his back, and then if he doesn't work his way back up, that'll suck. But based on his footwork and his fight IQ and he seems to really have it together, Sean. So I got to go with Jack Hermanson via knockout.
Yeah, that's right. Look, the other half of the 3-unit biggest bet parlay with superstar Henrique is Jack Hermanson. Like, he showed up in that fight. That was a tough fight to have in your debut, and we know that guys never look great in their debut, and he looked great. He did. He put it together. I mean, it's not like he's fighting a world killer and Ask Him, but he did exactly what he needed to do. And when things started to pull a little even and when things started to slip, he had another gear. He kicked it up. He did more. He clinched him and hit him with dirty boxing. He did all kinds of stuff. He's really well-rounded, showed great cardio, showed some good power, showed some good speed. He was pretty impressive. The footwork is good. He's got good in and out. He confused Ask Him. He looked good. And you know what? If he didn't look good, he's still fighting Mutanch. And Mutanch, for all his upside, it doesn't matter. There's one humongous downside, and that his chin is made out of like bubble gum wrapped around some popsicle sticks with some like duct tape around it. Like, if you hit him once, it just flies into pieces. He's going to get hit in this fight. He's going to get hit. And it's not going to be like Hermanson isn't going to pull a Bang Bose and hit him and go all fucking water boy on him and try to destroy him and gas out and look like shit. He's going to take him apart. He's going to hit him. He's going to look. He's going to hit him where he's not protecting. He's going to get on top of him. He's going to hit him with coffin nails, and he's going to dead him. And in perfect Mutanch fashion, he's going to be eyes rolled back in his head, laying flat on his back, looking like a dead guy. That's what Mutanch does. You know what I mean? Like, let's not let those 2 horrible fucking wins that you mentioned change our minds here. All right, like, Hermanson beats Mutanch if Mutanch didn't have a shitty chin, okay? But in this case, with old glass chin, it's only a matter of fucking time. It's only a matter of time. And you could find out something about Hermanson. Mutanch throws hard spin kicks and shit like that. He could get caught. Sure, it's a fight. But come on, man. It's Mutanch's chin. And if you got that 180 or so like I did, it's a good number. Even in Brazil, he's going to find that chin. He's got 3 rounds to do it. He's going to find it. He's going to get him. I think he can shrug off takedowns, stay standing, land the shot, win the fight, knock out. Hermanson, Henrique, 3 units. I think it's plus 118.
So if Jack Hermanson is a good parlay leg, who besides Henrique you think would go well with him? I mean, maybe Justin Ledet?
Ledet, Almeida, Ishihara, or the Yakovlev over. I like all those.
Next up in the welterweight division, we got Sergio Moraes. He's minus 170. The comeback on Zach Otto is plus 150. I got to tell you what, Sean, Zach Otto impressed me in his UFC debut. I mean, he was on point with the kicks. He was able to really stifle Josh Berkman's attack. You know, anytime Josh tried to move forward, Zach immediately countered him with a kick and let him know, you know, you're gonna fight on my terms. So that was really impressive because if you go back and you watch his fight with Jacob Volkman, which was only a year before that, you know, he looked like total shit in that fight. So to me, it's either he had an off night in the Volkman fight or, man, he's just improved a whole lot because he was very impressive in that debut. Now, the thing with Sergio Moraes is at one point, I was super high on this guy. I mean, I'm still a fan, obviously, but, you know, when he tapped out Neil Magny and, you know, his fight with Mutanch back before Mutanch had a glass chin, Sergino was very promising, man, but you notice how after the Magny fight, he didn't fight for about 2 years, and then he came back, and he wasn't the same guy, you know? He has world-class jiu-jitsu. In his last few fights, he hasn't been looking to take the fight to the ground. He's been standing and banging with these guys. You know, he got one knockout, so now he thinks that, you know, he's a striker, and, you know, he paid the price in his last fight. He got dropped twice in the first round. And with Zach Otto, I mean, he seems to be a very measured and patient kind of guy. He doesn't take any unnecessary risks. You know, I don't really know what's going to be the deal if he does get taken down, but based on Sergino's last fights, he hasn't even been looking for takedowns, man. So it seems like Zach Otto might just kick him to a decision here. I mean, it seems like I should take the shot, but I mean, if Sergino takes this to the ground and utilizes his world-class jiu-jitsu, he could definitely get him out of here. It's just a matter of he doesn't fight like that anymore, man. You know, what is it? Is it a matter of him aging? Is it a matter of new regulations, you know, in the sport? He did take those 2 years off, man. You know, it's just a new era, man.
I mean, I agree with you. I think you should take the shot. The third piece of my round robin is Zach Otto. I think, you know, he's obviously a really muscly, strong guy. He sets up punches and kicks. Each one is super hard, pretty precise, comes forward. And he's a much cleaner striker than Moraes is. A way cleaner striker. And the thing about Sergio Moraes is why won't he take him down and use the jiu-jitsu? I don't fucking know, but he's not gonna. He's not into it anymore. I don't know why. He wants to be exciting. He wants to sling punches. He wants to get knockouts. Well, he's not good at that. He's good at the other thing. He's good at the thing that he doesn't do. I don't know why he does that, but he's going to do that again. So if you're looking for a reason to bet this fight, look at every time that Moraes doesn't get takedowns, doesn't try to get takedowns, doesn't look to use the jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes when he's losing a fight, he's like, ooh, I better do that. You know what I'm saying? But it's too late by then. It's going to be too late here. I think he's going to be in trouble standing. I think he's going to get hit hard. He's going to get dropped. He probably makes it to the end of this fight, but the other thing about him is when he does want to get takedowns, his takedowns are not great. You know what I'm saying? I could easily see Zach Otto stopping these takedowns and keeping it standing, even if Moraes wanted to take him down. At that price, I like Otto here. I think he stands up, gets a decision, and maybe beats Moraes back into being a jiu-jitsu guy.
That'd be nice for all us Sergino fans, and man, we probably do have to take that shot on Zach Otto. But next up, man, Kamaru Usman. He's minus 220. The comeback on Warlley Alves is plus 180. Remember when Warlley Alves first came into the UFC? He was one of the scariest dudes in the welterweight division. That squeeze on that guillotine, oh my God. I mean, he dangles off your neck. You recall that fight with Colby Covington? And, he was waiting for Colby to shoot for that takedown so he could get that guillotine in there. So, is he going to do the same thing here? Kamaru's grind is unbelievable. I mean, this guy, will beat you to a pulp, and then he won't stop there. You know what I mean, Sean? He'll keep going. And it's funny because he doesn't really get guys out of there, but he beats them down for 15 straight minutes. And, he's consistent with it, man. He's very stiff on the feet, though, So the right person that catches Kamaru Usman will definitely put him out. But, man, it's about stopping that grind. I don't know if Warlley can do it. We all know Warlley's got a very suspect gas tank, but we also know he's capable of very explosive shit. And not just the guillotine. I mean, the flying knees. I recall that fight with Barberena, and Worley landed this one body shot. You cringe when you see that body shot, man. I mean, he hits hard, dude. So, I don't fault anyone for taking the shot, but it seems like Kamaru is probably going to do it with that grind, man. His wrestling is ridiculous, but eventually someone's going to capitalize on Kamaru, being so stiff in the stand-up if they can stuff his takedowns. You think Worley's going to be the guy?
I don't. I don't think he stuffs takedowns. You know why he doesn't stuff takedowns? Is because he looks to drop to his back and get the guillotine instead. He doesn't get it, and then he ends up on his back, and then he's in deep shit. I don't like either of these guys. I never liked Worley Alves. He had that front runner thing about him right from the very get-go. I don't like Kamaru Usman just because he's just, very one note. He's a wrestler, grinder. I get it. The reason why I usually jump right to I always go through wrestling, ground stuff, and striking when I break down a fight. The reason why I end up talking about the striking more often is my overall opinion on wrestling and MMA is that it's not what it was. You know what I'm saying? What is wrestling now really? Wrestling now is kind of a time killer. Don't get me wrong. There's guys who have much better wrestling than another guy can take him down and beat the fuck out of him. There's guys that are great at it, and you can absolutely win fights that way. But what you need is a big-ass fucking gap between those two things. You need a big gap between how good of a takedown guy you are and how good their takedown defense is. And their takedown defense is really good now. So you might not land the takedown. You might just hold them in almost getting a takedown or pin them against the cage for 3.5 minutes and win the round that way. But it's not as dangerous of a weapon as it used to be. So Kamaru Usman, while that weapon is good, he's eventually going to run into people who are as good at stopping it, which is much easier than getting it. This isn't the time. But, a one-note wrestling guy doesn't really do it for me. There's a couple specialists out there like, Maya, Khabib, like guys who, if they get you in that position, you're in deep, deep shit because they're way past you. But, Kamaru Usman isn't it. He punches way into that grind, and dummy Worley Alves will look for that guillotine, drop to his back, and kill around that way. And then he'll be tired in the second. Then he'll legit get taken down and kill around that way. And then Usman wins the third round too. And that's it. Boring fight, 30-27 Usman.
Next up in the middleweight division, we got Thales Leites. He's minus 175. The comeback on Krzysztof Jotko is plus 155. Now, you guys already know, I think Krzysztof Jotko is the number one prospect in the UFC middleweight division. And if he wins this fight, he'll turn from prospect to contender, man. This is a big step up in competition. But if there's one thing we know about Krzysztof is that he knows how to win these fights. His movement, man, he's one of the first guys that I've seen that moves like that. Like, who else moves like that, Sean?
I mean, there's a couple like Hermanson, but he's kind of like after Jotko.
Exactly, after Jotko.
Yeah. Jotko's movement is really good. It is. His in and out is really good, and his distance management is indeed really good.
Yeah, man, he is very, very solid. And, the thing with him was I always thought he was an expert point fighter. Then he goes in there in his last fight, as a plus 200 underdog, and he knocks Tamden McCrory out stiff. And not only does he knock him out, I mean, he changed his life, dude, because you saw Tamden's next fight. And that was just a direct result of what Jotko did, man. Jotko changed this guy's life. And it's pretty cool to see that he's not just a point fighter. He can knock dudes out, too, if he sits on his punches. He moved to ATT. He's taking his career very seriously. So I think this is a very good time to be betting on Jotko, man. And I mean, he's had those tough fights in the UFC. He's prevailed. He actually lost early on in his career, in his UFC career, and he came back from that. So, it's not like he needs to take his first L or anything like that. He's already been there, done that. With Thales, I mean, he's a big grizzly vet, you know what I mean? He's got world-class jiu-jitsu, but he looks to grind the fight down, push you up against the fence. If he can't take you down, he wears you out in that clinch and, throws the occasional left hook, the overhand right. But, man, in that Mousasi fight, Mousasi was able to stop him in his tracks with that jab, make his eye start to water, then close his other eye, and completely freeze him. I don't think Krzysztof's going to do exactly that because Krzysztof's got a little bit of a different game than Mousasi, a lot more footwork. But I think that, this can be like a a Matador versus the Bull type fight. You know what I'm saying? With Kristoff being on his feet and outpointing him, and another thing I noticed is that when Kristoff gets pushed up against the fence, he's able to break from the clinch very well. So he knows what the fuck he's doing, man, and he's getting better. He thinks when he's fighting. I like the underdog shot on Jocko here, dude.
Yeah, I agree with you. The fourth leg of that 2-unit round robin is Jocko. So that's Jocko, Otto, Yakovlev, Munoz. I think that Jocko is catching Latest at the exact right time. You know what I'm saying? That we know what Latest does. He'll backpack the fuck out of you, or he'll aggressively, sloppily come forward and eventually land shots because he's a tough guy and he's a vet. He's got a deep bag of tricks. He's definitely somebody to be respected. But I think this will be a big win for Jocko. I think Jocko just saw that game plan laid out by Mousasi on how to beat him. You box him. You know what I'm saying? You go straight down the pipe. I'm hesitant to say that I think that Jocko turned a corner in that last fight because it wasn't long enough for me to go, ooh, I'm convinced he turned a corner. But see, what happens is you go to a new camp. You learn all these things. You say, ooh, I'm going to take this super seriously. Let's go. I'm training with the best in the world. I believe in myself. And then your next fight, you stomp the shit out of somebody and you knock him out cold with one punch. And this isn't a guy who gets knocked out. So whether or not you had enough time in that fight to turn a corner, I think the combination of going to ATT, learning those things, and then having that result can push you to be turned a corner. You've now turned the corner. You've now said, I believed in this. I did this. Look at this result. I am good. I'm supposed to be here. I'm going to go to Brazil, beat this guy. This is going to be my biggest win. I'm going to be in the top 10, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a great spot for Jocko. I think that Latest has to be on the way down. He's taken some beatings. He exploited a huge hole in Kamozi's game that's always been there and will never go away. That being said, could Latest backpack Jocko and push him up against the fence and work some of the same things that we were just talking about, just killing time? Yeah, he could. He could do that. He's strong, you know what I'm saying? He's bigger than Jocko is, but I think that Jocko works a Mousasi kind of game. I think he's in and out. I think he uses his footwork, and I think Jocko now has enough power to get Latest's respect, to make Latest hesitate, to put Latest on the back foot and have Jocko come forward. That eliminates some of the threat of being pushed up against the cage. Jocko takes over that way and probably loses the first round and wins the last two. So I'll take Jocko by decision.
I'm glad you brought up Chris Camozzi because, man, it looked like he might have been turning a corner in his own right, that fight with Vitor Miranda. But, man, Talis Latest proved that wasn't the case. But with Jocko, I think he is actually turning a corner, man. And, he's not a stationary target like Camozzi. It's going to be very tough for Talis to get this one to the ground. Like you mentioned, the movement and his fight IQ, his fucking ring craftsmanship. You know what I'm fucking saying, dude?
Yeah.
He's on fucking
He's
point,
got
man.
something.
He's got it, man.
Yeah.
I think there's something special about this guy. So I want him to prove me right and go out there and cash this underdog bet. So next up, we got Claudia Gadelha. She's minus 470. The comeback on Courtney Casey is plus 375. Now, in my opinion, Sean, Claudia Gadelha is really overrated. I
agree.
Firstly, she's 2-2 in the UFC. Okay, so for the number one guy or number one chick in that weight class to be a 500 fighter, you know what I'm saying, man? It's kind of and the wins. Let's talk about who she beat. She beat Tina Lokdemaki. Do you know who that is, Sean?
No clue.
And she beat Jessica Aguilar, who has a grand total of 0 wins in the UFC. Those are her 2 wins, okay? And she's the number 1 in that weight class. And Courtney Casey, okay, her 2 wins are against, fucking Christina Stansu and Randa Marcos. At least Randa Marcos is in the UFC, and Courtney finished her in the first round, and her 2 losses, against Joanne Calderwood and Siohi Ham. In that Calderwood fight, man, Courtney Casey pulled a Mehdi Baghdad, dude. She rocked her opponent, and then she went for a flying armbar. It was one of those situations. So, look, I think the line is a little bit wide here. I don't think it should be minus 470 to a plus 375. But the thing with Courtney Casey is, You know, she's big for the weight class. She's aggressive, but she'll do dumb shit, man. You know, you'll put your money on it, and she'll be working Claudia on the feet. Then out of nowhere, she jumps for a guillotine and ends up on her back the rest of the round. It's going to be something like that. So most likely Claudia by decision, but I'm not going to be surprised one bit if the dog comes through. I just can't take the shot on that kind of fight IQ, man. So I'm going to have to pass. And, you know, I know Claudia has not the best gas tank in the world. You recall she only has 2-round cardio, but she moved to Craig Jackson's, and the reason I think that's good is because, you know, Albuquerque, New Mexico is in altitude, so if she's training in altitude, that'll definitely help out her gas tank. So, yeah, that's what I think about this fight, Sean.
You know, I won't do movies. I'll do angle this time. Look, the angle of go to the top, get knocked off, and then lose to somebody you shouldn't is totally live here. Last week, it worked for Pennington versus Tate. It almost worked, god damn it, for fucking Stevens and Frankie. Don't be surprised if shitty Courtney Casey somehow ends up on top and lands thunderous elbows that change the entire temperature of this fight. You know what I'm saying? Don't be surprised if this angle shows up again where this girl's thinking, well, you know, I know who's at the top of this division, and that person has beaten me once and then beat the shit out of me once. Where do I have to go? It just is. You know what I'm saying? That angle just works. It just does. You get to the top, you fall back down, you lose to somebody you shouldn't because you got to the top and that was it. You know what I'm saying? It's like an artificial it's like an artificial curve for your career. You know what I'm saying? When there's no place to go up there and you can't go up further, then the only thing left is down. You know what I mean? And maybe it doesn't work here. I'm not taking that shot, but I'm not going to fault you for taking that shot. The number's way crazy, Brazil or not Brazil. So go ahead and take a swing.
Yeah, I just don't get why it's minus 470 plus 375. Like, to me, that's,
you know,
that's disrespect.
Casey sucks. Yeah, I mean,
is Claudia really that good? You know what I mean?
No, but that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. But it's a girl fight. Like, yeah, could Claudia Gadelha get on top and just stay there? Fucking sure. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But, you know, this angle has happened to people far better than she is, and beaten by people far worse than Courtney Casey. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all. I don't fault anyone for taking the shot. It's just for me, like I said earlier, man, you know, when you get thrown by fucking head and arm throws, and when you jump for flying arm bars after rocking your opponent, I try not to bet on people like that. So,
yeah,
but
good idea.
I will be rooting for the underdog because, you know, you got to root for the underdog. But next up, we got Tomas Almeida. We got the people's main event. He's minus 330. The comeback on Albert the Warrior Morales is plus 270. Dude, I love this fight so much. I mean, two friends of the show. I mean, Albert Morales, obviously, he's been on the show many times. And Tomas Almeida, I mean, when you fight like Tomas Almeida, you're a friend of the show. I mean, bottom line, I mean, Tomas Almeida is just, I mean, he creates art out there when he gets off on his offense, man. I mean, we'll talk about his defense in a second, but his offense is just... He paints a picture, man. He's an artist, dude. I mean, the flying knees, the body shots, if you watch his highlight reel, I mean, you go back and watch all his fights because, you know, he gets to show his heart, but you just watch the highlight reel of all the finishes, and he's finished people in every single way you can knock someone out, dude. He's just an absolute monster, man, and he's just a creative genius out there, I'd say. But, man, his defense, you know, he does get tagged a lot, not just in his last fight against Cody Garbrandt. I mean, the Brad Pickett fight. Fucking the Anthony Burchak fight. Even his debut against Timmy Gorman, he got tagged up a lot, man. And it's, you know, he does have a good chin. It's eventually that chin's going to give out. I know it gave out that last fight. Cody can bang. The right punch can put him out. But it's about, you know, with Albert Morales, he is undefeated. And I'll tell you what, he looked a lot better in his UFC debut than a lot of people do in their UFC debuts. And he took on a tough opponent in Alejandro Perez, who's been doing really well in the UFC. And Albert won that fight, in my opinion. And, you know, on the regional scene, he was knocking dudes out in the first round, so I always questioned what would happen if he went all three. And he did fine when he went all three. But, you know, fighting in Brazil against Tomas Almeida is a tall order. Albert, he seems to me like the kind of guy that's not going to be mentally defeated before the fight starts. So if you're going to beat him, you have to finish him. You know what I'm saying? And this is going to be a fist fight. So with Tomas Almeida's defense, I mean, don't be surprised if he goes down. You gotta basically favor Almeida based on the experience. I mean, he's what 22-1 versus a guy that's 6-0. Like I get that, and it's in Brazil and all of that, more experience. But this is a fist fight. They're both gonna stand and bang. And don't be surprised if Almeida gets knocked out again. But most likely Almeida wins this fight. But I'll be rooting for Morales here.
You know, I like Morales. I like him as a fighter. I definitely like him on the show. I think he's a cool guy. I think he's into fighting. I think he studies it. I think he knows that he's got to jump on Almeida early here and get to him when he's most vulnerable, as we've seen time and time again. But unfortunately, betting wise, I don't think that Morales is ready for a test like this. His punches are his punches are a little too loopy. He leaves his chin up when he's swinging, and I think he will come after Almeida. I think that Almeida wants him to. Skill wise, striking wise, I think there's a humongous gap here. We've seen problems with Almeida. We get it. His defense is not good. He's absolutely hittable. His head doesn't move. Now he's finishable, as we've seen. I don't think it's time to cash in your chips on Almeida yet. I think he's got many years ahead of giving and getting severe punishment before he's at the point where we're like, ooh, maybe he's done now. And no, not yet. And regardless of all that shit, his offense is for sure top 10 in the fucking sport. I don't know how high top 10, but top 10 in the sport. His body punches, double left hook to the body and the head, like punch, kick, punch, like the knees, like, oh man, like keeping perfect distance so you're at the end of the jab and then drilling you with straights over and over again. Like, he's no joke offensively. You've got to jump on him before he's warmed up, and you've got to do it effectively, and you've got to hit him super hard, and you've got to get him out of there. Just dropping him isn't going to do it. So even if Morales gets to him early, can Morales get him the fuck out of there? I don't think so. I think Almeida's taken enough time. I think he comes back with a fucking vengeance here. I think this is a great fight for him in front of his home crowd. I think he stays safe long enough to warm up and put some devastating offense on Morales and gets him out of there. I got 2 units on Almeida parlayed with Ledet. That's plus 116.
I'm glad you brought up the fact that Almeida's a slow starter, because he absolutely is. But man, like you said, when he warms up, I mean, it's just beautiful destruction. And man, that might be what happens here. But Morales is big for the weight class. He comes to fight. He's aggressive. And, you know, he has to put Almeida out early. So, you know, that's the main event, in my opinion. But they gave us a bonus fight, and it was the rematch that no one wanted, but we'll all watch it. And we got Ryan Bader. He's minus 365. The comeback on Lil Nog. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira is plus 305. And, I mean, most likely Bader's going to wrestle his way to a decision. But how cool would it be if Nogueira went out there and knocked him out, Sean?
I mean, I would love that. And, you know, I'm super on the, you know, this fence or this fight blows. I'm super on the fence about that over. Like, oh, it's right there staring at me, and I want to bet it so bad. I think it's still plus. Is it still plus money? Do you know off the top of your head? No? All right. I would love to bet that.
The under 1.5 is plus 175. Over 1.5 is minus 210. Oh,
it opened much differently. Or no, maybe it didn't. Maybe I was going to parlay it with something. Anyway, I didn't use that. I should have used that. You should use that. I just ran out of partners for it. The worry, the thing that kept me off of it is not Bader knocking out Little Nog. It's Little Nog knocking out Bader. That's the worry that jumped to my mind. I don't know why it's that, because it should be Bader knocking him out, but I don't know. I don't see it. Bader not a finisher, man. The Perosh fight. Oh Jesus! If I don't know how you don't finish that fight, but he did not indeed. Broken hands, or I don't care. Two broken hands. do whatever, to elbow his body or something. You're like, he was just a little defenseless, like, newborn in front of you for the majority of that fight. You know, Little Nog is old and super stiff, and they've got to crack his coffin open and pull him out of there every time they want him to fight. And, you know, he's out of the coffin for this one. He's standing up in Brazil. You know, he's like weekend at Bernie's, like his corner men are holding him up and shit. But you give him a little time to warm up and throw straight punches at you. And Bader's been stopped by fucking Tito Ortiz. It's definitely possible.
He got
man.
dropped his
It's
last
definitely
fight
possible.
too.
Yeah, like, it's not out of the question that Little Nog wins this fight. The most interesting play in this fight is that over, especially at 1.5. At 2.5, I wouldn't touch it, but at 1.5, oh, it's fucking calling me. But no partners. I like Bader to wrestle his way to a decision as well, or perhaps a late submission, because, like, Little Nog has no flexibility left in his limbs. You know what I'm saying? You can like halfway Kimura him. You know what I'm saying? Like if the Khabib Kimura on Michael Johnson, like, that would have ripped Little Nog's arm clean off. Like, his arm doesn't bend at all anymore. So if you just grab it and tweak it a little bit, it's over. So there's that. Yeah, Bader, but I'll be rooting for Little Nog.
Definitely. So before we get out of here, we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So let's do it for both cards, man. So for UFC Belfast, the fight to watch, what is it, Sean?
The fight to watch is absolutely Theory versus McCall. Like, if the guy that I'm pulling for wins, I'll be fucking super excited. If he doesn't, I know that it'll be a great, exciting fight. I don't expect wrestling. I expect stand-up. I expect a crazy crowd. I expect back and forth, and I expect a close decision. And that amounts to a lot of fun and a nice send-off for Neil Seery, a kind of guy that we need more of in the sport. He's like a super gritty journeyman who always puts forth a super honest effort. We like those guys. We don't need to cut those guys. We need to keep those guys to test our young guys. And, you know, and occasionally put a old broken name like McCall out to pasture. Like, that's going to happen Saturday. So watch that fight. It's going to be a fun one.
My fight to watch is Magomed Mustafayev versus Kevin Lee. I mean, this fight's going to tell us a lot about where both of these guys are at in the UFC lightweight division. I mean, obviously with Kevin Lee, he's had a lot of promise, but a couple setbacks, and you know, I want to know what this kid's all about, and we're going to find out Saturday night, because Magomed Mustafayev, master of sport and striking, you know what I'm saying, Sean? And he can knock dudes out. And would you be surprised if he knocked Kevin Lee out?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody did anything to Kevin Lee, because Kevin Lee will stand there and go, "This ain't happening to me. No, I'm fine. Oh, no, I twisted my ankle. What are you talking about? I didn't even get hit." Yeah, okay, dude. All right. Go for it.
It was an early stoppage, but yeah, that's my fight to watch, man. I'm just so curious about it. I want to sit back and enjoy that one, because it's going to tell me a lot about where both these dudes are. Now, Sean, who is the fighter to watch for UFC Belfast?
Oh, just for Belfast?
Yeah.
Musashi, motherfucker. Like, the dark horse of the division. The guy who shouldn't be saying, yeah, if I beat this guy and this guy, maybe I could get a title shot. He's the guy who should be going, look, I can kill everybody. I can beat anybody that you put in front of me. I want the title shot now. I'm old. Let's go. He's not doing that, but he's proving it. He's showing it. You know what I'm saying? He's doing things that you should do, like disposing of Vitor Belfort. Don't fight close with Vitor Belfort at this point in your career. You know what I'm saying? Like, take a shot from him, shrug it off, give him the Matumbo finger, and then line him up against the fence and hit him with an 87-punch fucking Tekken combo. That's what you want to do. That's what Musashi does. Musashi's got a little bone to pick, and I think it's going to be a slow, torturous bone, but it's going to be a bone with no meat on it left.
My fighter to watch is Uriah Hall. I mean, we're all picking against him. He's a plus 450 underdog. And, I mean, if he can go out there and defeat Gegard Mousasi again, I mean, he'll fuck up everyone's plans. And, man, I'm just curious, so interested in this matchup. I mean, he's coming off 2 losses. 3 in a row is never good. So let's see what he brings into this fight, man. I mean, let's see if he's a live underdog here or if Gegard's going to do what everyone says he would do 9 out of 10 times. I'm very curious about that. Now we got to talk about the fighter to watch and the fight to watch for UFC Sao Paulo. So, Sean, what's the fight to watch, man?
Oh, fight to watch. You do fight to watch. I got fighter to watch, but I haven't thought of fight to watch. You do.
I mean, the fight to watch is obviously Tomas Almeida versus Albert Morales. Anytime Tomas Almeida fights, I mean, you can guarantee violence. I mean, he's the kind of fighter that you call your friends over and you're like, look, this is the sport I love and this is why. Guys like Tomas Almeida, I mean, 22-1 with 21 finishes? You know what I'm saying, Sean? And he's fighting a dude that comes to fight. It's not like he's fighting some boring wrestler that wants to hump his leg and grind out the clock. I mean, Albert's willing to go out on a shield here, man, and I know Tomas is too. That is your fight to watch for UFC Sao Paulo. That's the people's main event.
Okay, my fight to watch will be Munoz and Scoggins because I think this is going to be a good clash of styles. I think you're going to see, Scoggins, talented, mental problems, but no pushover. He's got a real tough guy in front of him, a real dangerous guy who can finish in multiple ways. I think this fight goes back and forth. I think even when it hits the ground, it's not going to get slow because there's so much danger there. This should be an exciting fight for sure, regardless of who wins.
And my fighter to watch for UFC Sao Paulo is Krzysztof Jotko. Look, last time he fought, he was also my fighter to watch, man. I mean, all eyes are on Jotko, man. I've said for a long time, this is the number one prospect in the UFC 185-pound division. And, I mean, I want to see what he's all about. This is a big step up. Talis Leitas comes to fight. He's experienced. He went the full 5-round distance with the champion, Michael Bisping. He went the distance with Mousasi. He went the distance with Anderson Silva. I mean, he's been there. He's done that, man. And, he's solid. He's good everywhere. This is a good test for Jotko. Let's see what he's all about, man. He is your fighter to watch for UFC Sao Paulo.
I'm going to go with Almeida for fighter to watch. I think he brings back the excitement and the violence and the pinpoint accuracy and the wow that we're waiting for. I think he brings it back with a vengeance Saturday night. I think in front of his home crowd, he shows up. He fights through whatever adversity Morales can bring, which is also dangerous in his own right. But Almeida, skill-wise, head and shoulders above, and eventually ends up teeing off with something pretty.
Any thoughts on Kovalev versus Ward?
Oh, I'm so far gone on the boxing. I think Kovalev is like kind of like a Medov. He's like a big robot who does technical things really well. Nice straight punches, super hard jab. Hard to hurt, just a straightforward, mean son of a bitch. But Andre Ward is super special. The problem with him, he's not special in a fun way, right? He's special in a leaping left hook to hold you, to punch you after the break, repeatedly for 3 minutes kind of way. And I love seeing guys who do things just to frustrate you.
Well, Sean, let them know where to follow you, man.
On Twitter, I'm Sean Carey Tattoo. On Instagram, I'm Sean Carey Tattoo. Now my bets are, I'll post them on my Twitter, but we'll be talking about them exclusively on Half the Battle. So catch me at all those places.
Yes, sir. For all the fans, thank you guys so much. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Keep hooking up the 5-star reviews, the retweets. It is very appreciated. Follow me on Twitter at Best Fight Picks. Go to bestfightpicks.com for the plays. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.